Chapter 1044. The world ruins continued to exist. In the end, Concubine Yu wasn't able to hold on and completely block the destructive energy of the world ruin. At the end of the day, it was because Long Yu was too slow in gathering the 9 Netherrealm. Finally, a crack appeared on the snow-white absolute beginning divine grade necklace in front of Concubine Yu. The power of the ruins of the world finally seeped in. Even Long Yu wasn't able to collect the Netherworld realm completely. I can't do it. I have to give up the 9 Netherrealm. But Long Yu can't die. Consort Yu's beautiful face showed a trace of nervousness. When her absolute beginning divine grade necklace cracked, she knew that there was no turning back. Therefore, she moved, intending to re-enter the 9 Nether realm through the hole of nothingness and take Long Yu away by force. But at this moment, the snow-white necklace in front of her chest suddenly exploded. The awakened absolute beginning divine grade necklace shattered in the world ruins, losing all its power. All of this was to protect Long Yu and the 9 Netherrealm. Otherwise, Consort Yu could have escaped long ago. After all, the world ruins was a terrifying area formed by the self-destruction of a great sovereign realm existence. Even Consort Yu wasn't sure that she could withstand it. Now, it seemed that it was indeed the case. Consort Yu was slightly startled. Then, she was engulfed by the terrifying power of the world ruins. At the same time, the destructive power produced by the collapse of the space swallowed the whole of nothingness. Concubine, you didn't have the time to return to the Netherworld realm through the whole of nothingness. She was engulfed by the incomparably chaotic spatial energy. Although it wasn't enough to destroy her body, she was thrown into the boundless and unknown void. This was the world ruins. Even if it couldn't destroy people, it could still send them out of this area to an unknown place. How vast was the beyond heaven world? The territory of the human race was already extremely vast, so vast that even Concubine you didn't know how many human clans existed in this area. Not to mention the territories of the Demon Clan and the Foreign God Clan, which were adjacent to the human clan. No one knew where they would end up after being engulfed by the chaotic space. It was the same for Consort Yu. When Consort Yu was sucked into the chaotic space, the whole of nothingness was also engulfed by the power of the collapsing space. Then, the terrifying power started to destroy the 9 Nether realm in the whole of nothingness. At this moment, Long Yu knew that something was wrong outside, but he couldn't stop absorbing the 9 Nether realm. When the chaotic power of the collapsing space poured into the 9 Nether realm, Long Yu could only mobilize all the power he could to resist the chaotic space. Fortunately, the 9 Nether realm was the small world of the Juyo Dragon Emperor. The martial arts realm of the Juyo Dragon Emperor, when he was alive, was definitely much higher than that of Jiyuan Daoi. Therefore, the overall power of the 9 Nether realm was enough to resist the endless chaotic space collapse. However, even if it resisted, the chaotic space still sent it into the endless void. No one knew where the whole of nothingness, the 9 Nether realm, and Long Yu would end up. The news of the Lushan clan's invasion of the world ruins soon spread throughout the human clan's territory. When Consort Yu woke up, she found herself in an extremely barren void, which was far away from the prosperous galaxy of the human clan. She hoped that she could see the 9 Nether realm, Long Yu, or the whole of nothingness, but she didn't see any of them. For a moment, she didn't know if Long Yu and the 9 Nether realm were destroyed in the world ruins, or if they were thrown to some other place by the chaotic space flow of the world ruins. Consort Yu released Si Yuanbai and Jiao Feng from the small world. Lady Consort Yu, where are we? Si Yuanbai looked around and found that they were in an extremely barren void. There wasn't a single star within a radius of hundreds of millions of miles. If they were still in the human clan's territory, this wouldn't have happened, because the distance between galaxies in the human clan's territory wouldn't be so far. For example, the neighboring Lushan galaxy and the 9 Nether galaxy could be seen with the naked eye. After all, each galaxy was extremely vast and was very conspicuous in the endless void. I don't know where we are. Consort Yu shook her head. But at least we didn't find any danger. The problem is because it's too far away, I can't sense the space-time mark I left in the Nine Nether clan. Space-time marks were used by experts in the Beyond Heaven world to travel, so they were relatively precious. Generally speaking, martial cultivators could leave a space-time mark in their homes before they set off to other places. Then, within a certain range, they would be able to sense the existence of a space-time mark and be teleported there directly. Space-time marks were single-use items and were very valuable in the Beyond Heaven world. For example, Consort Yu had left a space-time mark on the Nether Dragon Blade. Because of this, she could directly come to the Nine Nether realm through the space-time mark and fight against the great rulers of the Lushan clan. But now, Consort Yu couldn't even sense the space-time mark she had left in the Nine Nether galaxy. Doesn't that mean that the distance between us and the Nine Nether galaxy has exceeded the distance of one domain? See, Yuan Bai's eyes were filled with astonishment. Even he had never reached such a great distance before. In the Beyond Heaven world, because space was too vast, the word li could no longer be used to measure distance. Therefore, the word domain was developed. The distance of one domain was almost the furthest range of the space-time mark's energy. If converted into li, it would be about 100 million li, which was an extremely terrifying number. With a simple comparison, one could see how vast the distance of one domain was. The Nine Nether realm was considered relatively vast among the small worlds, but its overall diameter was only 100 million li. The distance of one domain was 100,000 times the size of the entire Nine Nether realm. The space-time mark could spread as far as 100 million li, which was also the distance of one domain. If Long Yu used the void traversing technique continuously and teleported millions of li with each breath, it would take a total of 300 years to cross this distance. One could only imagine how terrifying this distance was. Of course, Long Yu's martial arts realm was still too low. Compared to the great rulers, his speed of traversing through space was very slow. But even Consort Yu would need a year to traverse the distance of one domain in the void. Moreover, one domain was the shortest distance that they could estimate. The distance between them and the Nine Nether galaxy was definitely more than one domain, but no one knew exactly how many domains it was. 10 domains? 100 domains? It was even possible that this place was no longer in the human race's territory. If that was the case, the situation they would face would be extremely grim. For lone human martial cultivators, foreign races were definitely synonymous with danger, unless they were from the monster race, which had a good relationship with the human race. If they were in the territory of other races, the possibility of Consort Yu and the others making it back was extremely slim. No, perhaps it's not that far. Diao Feng's hoarse voice sounded. That Juan Daoi is at most a fellow who has just become a great ruler. Even if he's self-destructed, it would be impossible for him to create such a strong spatial turbulence and send us out of one domain. Lady Consort Yu, can you sense it carefully and see if we've appeared in a place where our senses are blocked? I also guessed this possibility. Consort Yu nodded with a rather solemn expression. She lowered her head and saw the snow-white absolute beginning divine grade necklace that had already shattered. A hint of sadness appeared in her eyes. However, this sadness did not last for long. Compared to that, she was more concerned about the disappearance of Long Yu. Right now, she actually wanted to find Long Yu. However, it was very clear that she was currently in a situation where she could not even protect herself. If she wanted to find Long Yu, it would be extremely difficult. Indeed, all of my senses seem to be sealed by this space, including my deduction power and detection abilities. None of them can be transmitted outside this void region. Perhaps this is just a special region. If we leave this region, we might be able to sense the space-time imprint in the Nine Nether galaxy. Consort Yu reached this conclusion after sensing for a moment, which made her feel a little more at ease. Just as Jiao Feng had said, Jiuan Daoi's strength was far from enough to create a spatial turbulence that could send people out of one domain. They were most likely in a special space. The only thing they needed to worry about now was whether there was any unknown powerful existence in this space. Of course, Consort Yu's strength was second to none in the entire Beyond Heaven's world. If they did not encounter any particularly powerful existence, their safety could still be guaranteed. Then let's go out and have a look. You two should stay in my micro world and not come out, lest you encounter any accidents. Consort, you said to see you on by, and Yao Feng. Of course, the two of them had no objection. In this unknown place, it was indeed difficult for them to help consort you. It was better to enter her micro world and not cause her any trouble. Immediately after, Concubine, you randomly chose a direction and used her spatial traversal technique in that direction, traversing tens of millions of kilometers in an instant. This was the technique of a great ruler. Just as Consort, you fell into that strange enclosed space. Long, you gradually woke up from his coma. After the spatial turbulence poured into the Nine Nether Realm, Long Yu and the entire Nine Nether Realm were thrown to some unknown place. In this spatial turbulence, the Dead Star Whirlpool in the Nine Nether Realm blocked most of the destructive force, but half of it was destroyed by the spatial turbulence. This also caused Long Yu, who had already mastered 80% of the Nine Nether imprint, to fall into a coma. Now, he had become one with the Nine Nether Realm. Although he was equivalent to a god in the Nine Nether Realm and could fight against a great sovereign, when the spatial turbulence destroyed the space in the Nine Nether Realm, Long Yu was also seriously injured. Chapter 1045. Long Yu looked at the ruined Nine Nether World and couldn't help but feel lucky. Luckily, the Nine Nether World is strong enough. As expected of the Juyo Dragon Emperor's small world, it's not dead even after all that. Only half of the Dead Star Spiral was destroyed. Although the entire Nine Nether World is heavily damaged because of that, it's still not fatal. Long Yu could feel that in the spatial turbulence just now, even he was slightly affected by the Dead Star Spiral and was quite heavily injured. If it wasn't for the Dead Star Spiral, that spatial power would have definitely swallowed Long Yu whole, not leaving even his bones behind. After Long Yu woke up, he swallowed a healing pill to heal his wounds. At the same time, he began to observe the situation of the Nine Nether World. In just a few moments, he understood the current situation of the Nine Nether World. It was quite good, other than the outer part of the Dead Star Spiral that was destroyed by the spatial turbulence. The rest of the Nine Nether World wasn't affected at all. Especially Shunwu World, it wasn't affected at all and still looked fine. This made Long Yu sigh in relief. If something had happened to Shunwu World, Long Yu really wouldn't be able to accept it. After all, after he came to this world where martial arts are everything, all of his friends were still in Shunwu World. Fortunately, Shunwu World was fine for now. It was a blessing in disguise. What made Long Yu even more anxious was that after half of the Dead Star Spiral was destroyed, the other half of its power was spreading in all directions, spreading towards the entire Nine Nether World with absolute destructive power towards the mind. I can no longer control this part of the Dead Star Spiral's power. Even if I fully control the Nine Nether Mark, I still wouldn't be able to control this power. Long Yu's expression was extremely solemn. If the power of the Death Star Whirlpool were to spread throughout the entire Nine Nether Realm, there wouldn't be a single living being in the Nine Nether Realm that would be able to survive. Even the current Long Yu had to avoid the scattered power of the Death Star Whirlpool. Otherwise, his spirit and soul would be destroyed by it. This would be a disaster for the entire Nine Nether World. At this rate, it'll only take a year for the power of the Dead Star Vortex to reach Shunwu World and kill every living being there. Furthermore, the power of the Dead Star Spiral is unstoppable. The only way to save them is to have them leave the Nine Nether World. But where would they go after leaving the Nine Nether World? After thinking for a bit, Long Yu realized that there was a way. As long as he could enter the ruler's secret realm within a year, he would be able to truly have his own miniature world. That way, he would be able to create a continent in his miniature world and allow everyone from Shunwu World to move there. Now, Long Yu's inner world was empty. There were only the 7 great innate divine fruits, the 7 great forbidden lands, and also the 7 great pillars. There was also an area where hundreds of thousands of Ice God Clan's exotic beasts were imprisoned. Of course, this kind of inner world isn't suitable for humans to live in. The main reason is that the spirit essence of heaven and earth is limited, so there's no way it's enough for Shun Wu World's martial cultivators to cultivate. But once Long Yu entered the ruler's secret realm, everything would be different. At that time, he would be able to send everyone into his own small world, and they would be able to cultivate just like before. In short, Shenwu World would only be safe for a year. During this time, Long Yu had to think of a way to settle down the cultivators of Shenwu World. Nothing's happening inside, but I wonder what's happening outside. Long Yu still didn't know what was happening outside the Nine Netherworld. He didn't even know that he had been thrown to an unknown place by the space vortex. He still thought that since the Nine Netherworld was fine, it was most likely because Consort Yu was blocking it for him. Right now, he had to quickly gather the Nine Netherworld into the Nine Nethermark. Being inside the Nine Netherworld, Long Yu naturally couldn't observe the situation outside, so the only thing he could do right now was to continue gathering the Nine Netherworld. Because he was unconscious just now, the gathering of the Nine Netherworld was interrupted. If he were to start again now, it would probably take a few more hours. This made Long Yu very nervous. What if Consort Yu couldn't hold on for much longer? But very quickly, he found that as time passed, the process of gathering the Nine Netherworld into the Nine Nethermark was very smooth. There weren't any obstacles or accidents. Just like that, 8 hours passed very smoothly. Long Yu finally gathered the Nine Netherworld into the Nine Nethermark and jumped out from the hole of nothingness. Long Yu had never left the Nine Netherworld before, so he was naturally excited and nervous. He didn't know what was happening outside. Would there be any danger if he went out now? But hiding in the Nine Netherworld wasn't an option. He had to go out and take a look. After gathering the Nine Netherworld, Long Yu could now freely travel between the Nine Netherworld and the outside world. When he entered the Nine Netherworld, there would only be a world mark left in the outside world. The hole of nothingness had already disappeared. Compared to the hole of nothingness, it was much easier to destroy the world mark. Even Long Yu could do it now. So if he wasn't 100% sure of his safety, Long Yu couldn't return to the Nine Netherworld. It was even more impossible for him to return to the Nine Netherworld during the battle. If he did, others would directly destroy the mark, and the whole Nine Netherworld would be destroyed. If Long Yu hid in it, he would be destroyed together with it. Unless Long Yu could use a method to drag his opponents into the Nine Netherworld, he could only return to the Nine Netherworld when he was free. Long Yu's eyes were filled with darkness. After gathering the Nine Netherworld into the Nine Nethermark, which was his Dantian, the hole of nothingness in the outside world disappeared. Long Yu walked out of the hole of nothingness and arrived at the Beyond Heaven world. For the first time, he stepped into the space of the Beyond Heaven world. When Long Yu opened his eyes, he found that the scene in front of him was different from what he had imagined. In front of him, there was no great ruler of the Lushan clan, no Consort Yu, no Si Yuan Bai, no Jiao Feng, and not even a single life. What he saw was a desolate Milky Way ruin. Not far in front of Long Yu, there was a huge planet that had been split in half. The mountains and rivers were broken, and the core of the planet had collapsed. It floated quietly in the void, as if it had been destroyed for tens of thousands of years. The surface of this huge planet had undulating mountain ranges, but it was completely made up of soil and rocks. There was no breath of life, not even the breath of water. There was only a desolate land of flying sand and stones. Silence, an unparalleled silence. On the desolate planet that had been split in half, nothing was moving. Everything was still, as if time had stopped. Nothing made a sound. Long Yu's line of sight was completely blocked by this huge planet that had been split in half. He could not see what was behind this huge planet. He tilted his head, glanced to the left, and then raised his head to look above him. Finally, he glanced at his feet and then behind him. Soon, he found that he seemed to have arrived at a planet's graveyard. Apart from the huge planet that was closest to him, which had been split in half and had no breath of life, there were all kinds of broken planets in different directions. Although these planets were not as big as the one in front of Long Yu, they were still very large. They were either split in half or completely exploded in a Milky Way dust, quietly floating in the void. This was a Milky Way ruin. Is this the Beyond Heaven world? Is this the Lushan galaxy? Why is it a ruin? Could it be because of the space turbulence just now? That's impossible. If that's the case, how could these planets be completely still? There's no way such a violent spatial turbulence could cause such an eternal scene. Long Yu speculated at the fastest speed. Now, he had probably encountered an unknown accident, which caused him to leave the Lushan galaxy where he should have been and go to some unknown place. This place was a Milky Way ruin. Of course, Long Yu, who had come to the Beyond Heaven world for the first time, did not know what this place was. Moreover, even the Lushan clan's great ruler, Consort Yu, and the others had disappeared without a trace. This was a very strange situation. For Long Yu, Consort Yu was definitely an extremely powerful existence in the Beyond Heaven world. It was impossible for her to die because of a mere space turbulence. First of all, the possibility of Consort Yu dying is less than 1%. Second, if she's alive, she would not leave me alone. She would definitely find a way to find me and bring me back to the Juyo clan. Long Yu quickly deduced that there were two possibilities. Either Consort Yu was dead, or Consort Yu did not know where he was. In this way, Long Yu could roughly confirm that he had come to an unknown place. What a headache. This is the first time I've come to the Beyond Heaven world, and I don't even know where I am. Is there anyone more unlucky than me? However, I'm already very lucky that I'm still alive. Since I'm still alive, there's still hope. This place seems to be quite quiet. It's a good place for cultivation, but there seems to be no spiritual energy of heaven and earth at all. Long Yu surveyed his surroundings. In this wasteland of stars, there wasn't a single living thing. There wasn't even any spiritual energy of heaven and earth. There was only dead silence, a deathly silence. If Long Yu didn't have a Nine Netherworld, he would have to consider the problem of survival in this place. Without spiritual energy of heaven and earth, he wouldn't be able to replenish his energy. Even if he was a peak emperor, he would starve to death. Fortunately, he had the Nine Netherworld. As long as he returned to the Nine Netherworld, Long Yu would be able to replenish his energy. At the very least, the Nine Netherworld could be said to be endless. How could a peak emperor like him exhaust all the Nine Netherworld's spiritual energy of heaven and earth? Long Yu couldn't hide here forever. After all, he needed to break through to the sovereign secret realm within a year. Even though the Nine Netherworld had abundant spiritual energy of heaven and earth, there weren't enough treasures or pills that contained the power of creation. Chapter 1046. Long Yu continued to observe his surroundings and discovered that there really weren't any living beings in this silent Star River ruins. The entire space was deathly silent. In the beginning, he did not dare to use the shadow eye to probe around randomly. But when he found that the space was dead silent, he tried to use the shadow eye. Using this emperor-based thaumaturgy in conjunction with the 7th stage of balance control, he kept probing his surroundings. Now that his emperor-based thaumaturgy, the shadow eye, could detect the situation within a radius of 10,000 li around him, if used together with balance control, he could basically know everything within 10,000 li like the back of his hand. Unless the other party's martial realm was much higher than Long Yu's, or they had cultivated a secret martial technique like balance control, like Long Yu. 100 li, 200 li. Long Yu's detection range continued to expand. Very quickly, it reached a distance of 10,000 miles. Everything within 10,000 miles was within his detection range. Very quickly, he discovered that there were no living beings in this deathly still space. Of course, in this galaxy ruins, 10,000 li was a very small area. It basically only extended to the vicinity of the giant planet that had been split in half. Apart from the giant planet that had been split in half in front of Long Yu, the rest of the planet fragments were more than 10,000 li away from Long Yu, and he could not detect that far away. Since this place seems to be safe for the time being, there's no need to wander around. I should first consolidate my martial realm and recuperate. Otherwise, I won't be able to survive if I encounter any real danger. Long Yu made up his mind and began to fly toward the giant planet that had been split in half. As he approached, he kept probing the crack on the planet and found that it was also dead silent, without any signs of life. Long Yu pondered for a while and decided to take a break in the crack on the planet. He did not know what kind of place this galaxy ruins was, and it would be more dangerous if he wandered around. It was better to stay in one place and observe the situation first, and familiarize himself with the environment. Very quickly, Long Yu entered the giant crack in the remains of the planet and noticed that the composition of this planet was very different from the Shenwu world's continent in the realm of Nine Serenities. With Long Yu's current level of martial arts, if he were to attack the Shenwu world continent with his full strength, he would be able to create a crater at least a few dozen miles deep. But if he were to attack the remains of this planet, Long Yu carefully tested it out and found that his dragon breath of the 9 underworlds couldn't cause any damage to the planet's wreckage. He couldn't help but be shocked. It had to be known that even buildings reinforced by divine runes could be easily destroyed by Long Yu's current strength. However, the wreckage of this planet was not affected by Long Yu's attack at all. Long Yu's attack couldn't even be considered as a tickle to it. What kind of material could form such a planet? If it was used to refine a combat weapon, it would at least be an ancient combat weapon. Such a material could be found in Shenwu world as well, so it wasn't strange at all. But what shocked Long Yu the most was that this entire planet was made of the same material. Adding them all together, it would definitely be enough to refine hundreds of millions of ancient combat weapons. This discovery was enough to make a martial cultivator go crazy. Even if Consort you came here and saw the remains of such a huge planet made of such a sturdy material, she would probably be stunned on the spot, right? If it's sturdy enough, then it should be a bit safer for me. Even if any powerful existences come here, I should be able to deal with them, Long Yu thought to himself. Inside the giant crack, he found a very deep cave. This cave was formed by an impact, not man-made, so it should be relatively safe to hide inside. As he entered the cave, an icy aura caused Long Yu to shiver uncontrollably. The temperature of this place wasn't far from absolute zero. Even a cultivator like Long Yu could feel the cold. Long Yu once again sighed with emotion. What kind of existence was it to be able to blast such a huge planet in half? What kind of place was this Milky Way ruins, and how was it formed? Everything was a secret to the current Long Yu, so it was impossible for him to guess it. When Long Yu entered the deepest part of the cave, he also didn't find any signs of life. This was a completely desolate Milky Way ruins, so Long Yu could rest here for a while. Once he reached the deepest part of the cave, Long Yu activated the Mark of 9 Serenities in his Dantian and sent himself back to the 9 Serenities realm. The Mark of 9 Serenities remained in the deepest part of the cave in the form of a gray light. If any other cultivators came here, they could easily destroy it, leading to the destruction of the entire 9 Serenities realm. Because of that, after Long Yu entered the 9 Serenities realm, he felt that something was wrong. So he sent the Nether Dragon Blade out to stand guard near the Mark of 9 Serenities. Little Void and Long Yu were connected telepathically, so it was the same even if they were separated by the 9 Serenities realm. Because of that, Little Void could quickly notify Long Yu if anything happened. Inside the 9 Serenities realm, when Long Yu returned from outside the 9 Serenities realm, he could choose any place he wanted, so for convenience's sake, he directly appeared on the continent of Shenwu world. During this period of time, the entire 9 Serenities realm had undergone an earth-shattering change. Half of the Dead Star whirlpool was destroyed by the spatial turbulence. The other half of its power had spread everywhere and would reach Shenwu world in a year's time, wiping out all living beings in Shenwu world. But he couldn't feel any of these changes in Shenwu world. For the cultivators of Shenwu world, the situation in other parts of the 9 Serenities realm was too far away. They couldn't feel it at all. Unless it was like the Dark Moon calamity that caused a calamity in Shenwu world, only then would it affect the cultivators of Shenwu world a bit. Long Yu first sensed the other 6 forbidden zones. Besides the Dead Star whirlpool, The other forbidden zones were all undamaged, which made Long Yu feel very fortunate. Now that I've gained control over 80% of the 9 Serenities mark, I should be able to use the 7 thaumaturgies of the Jiuyo Dragon Emperor. Of course, the Dead Star Whirlpool has already been destroyed, so I definitely can't use it. Otherwise, it would become even more unstable. But I should be able to use the other 6 thaumaturgies in battle, Long Yu thought to himself. In the 9 Serenities realm, if he were to fight, he wouldn't need to use the power of the 6 forbidden zones. After all, he was now the Lord of 9 Serenities. He could casually use the power of the entire 9 Serenities realm, increasing his strength by over 1,000 times. Right now, even a combatant of the 7-star Emperor level wouldn't be a match for Long Yu in the 9 Serenities realm. In Shunwu world, Long Yu could be considered an invincible existence, so there was no need for him to use the natural thaumaturgies of the Jiuyo Dragon Emperor. However, if he was in the outside world, beyond Heaven World, next time I leave the 9 Serenities realm, I can try using the 6 thaumaturgies of the Jiuyo Dragon Emperor and see what kind of power they have. They should be quite powerful. Long Yu thought to himself. Although the Dead Star Whirlpool was half destroyed, the other forbidden zones were still fine. According to the 80% of the 9 Serenities mark that he'd gained control over, he should be able to use 80% of the power of the Jiuyo Dragon Emperor, and the 6 thaumaturgies should be quite powerful. Since Long Yu was already here, he couldn't be bothered to go out and try. He should first take care of Shunwu World. Previously, Long Yu had searched through the 7 forbidden zones of the 9 Serenities realm, including the 9 Serenities Black Palace, 9 Dark Moon, Bone-Burying Dragon Ground, Soul Depository Hell, as well as the Dead Star Whirlpool and the Divine Martial Realm Nucleus. Long Yu had taken everything from these 6 forbidden zones. Finally, there was the Sea of Death Aura. At that time, Long Yu hadn't been able to find anything, but now that he'd gained control over 80% of the 9 Serenities mark, he could clearly sense what was inside the Sea of Death Aura. What he saw made him overjoyed, because he discovered that there were 5 pill bottles placed in 5 different places in the Sea of Death Aura. Each of the 5 bottles contained an unbounded grade pill. These 5 unbounded grade pills were all transcendent grade pills, and were actually the 5 best quality pills left behind by the Jiuyo Dragon Emperor. Each pill contained quite a bit of the power of creation, and after taking it, it could improve the innate thaumaturgies of the cultivator. Once any of these unbounded grade pills explodes with medicinal power, it can definitely help a cultivator at the level of the Emperor improve by 1 star. Long Yu was very clear about the value of these 5 pills, but what puzzled him was that they were all the same type of pill. According to the alchemy scripture that Consort Yu had given him, this type of pill was called the Upper Primordial World Pill. The materials needed to concoct it were very rare, and most importantly, only the Alliance of Sufferers had the pill recipe. Each of these 5 Upper Primordial World pills was a priceless treasure, even in the Beyond Heaven world. Even someone at the level of Consort Yu might not have seen an Upper Primordial World pill in her entire life. However, as powerful as these pills were, 5 of them were still useless. After absorbing the 2nd pill, the effects would be halved, and after absorbing the 3rd pill, the effects would be halved again. Apart from the 1st pill, the other 4 pills added together could not even compare to a single pill of the same level. The effectiveness was extremely low. If the Jiuyo Dragon Emperor had prepared these pills for him after he borrowed his body to be reborn, then what use would 5 of the same pills be? This was the first suspicion that arose in Long Yu's mind after he discovered the 5 Upper Primordial World pills. He felt that he could definitely deduce something from this. Oh, right. Although the 3 pitch black stones that I obtained can improve the innate thaumaturgies, they will seal the fruit of the innate thaumaturgies. The Jiuyo Dragon Emperor prepared these pitch black stones for himself because he cultivated a secret martial arts technique, the body of worldly purity, which can counteract this side effect. So now, could it be that the Jiuyo Dragon Emperor has another secret martial arts technique that allows him to consume the same pills without reducing their medicinal power? Chapter 1047. Long Yu was quite confident in this guess. Maybe that's the case. Secret martial arts are unpredictable and have all sorts of strange effects. If there's a secret martial art that can allow a cultivator to take the same pill over and over again without the effects of the pill weakening, then it's definitely possible. Of course, if such a secret martial art exists, it must be extremely heaven-defying. Normal people wouldn't even have the chance to learn it. However, when he thought about how this secret martial art came from the mysterious 9 Hell prison tablet, it's normal for Geo Dragon Emperor to be able to learn it. Of course, this is all just Long Yu's guess. To find out the truth, Long Yu will have to go and comprehend the 9 Hell prison tablet to a higher level. Comprehending the 9 Hell prison tablet takes too much time. I don't have that much time right now, so I'll wait for now and stabilize the situation in Shunwu World first. Long Yu thought to himself as he passed through the sea of deathly aura and collected all 5 upper Yuanhuan pills into his pouch. For now, he didn't use them, but returned to Shunwu World and once again went to the Northern Snow Empire. Ever since the Dark Moon Calamity, the Northern Snow Empire has been rebuilt, and at a very fast pace. Its overall strength can even compare to any of the 6 sects and 10 kingdoms near the 5 Emperors' holy city. Once upon a time, I could only look up to the alliance of 5 emperors, but now, I'm the master of 9 Hell. If I don't want the alliance of 5 emperors to exist, I can easily abolish it. Thinking that, Long Yu couldn't help but feel a bit emotional. As he grasped 80% of the mark of 9 Hell and became the master of 9 Hell, his strength within the 9 Hell realm has become unparalleled. Even going against the entire alliance of 5 emperors wouldn't be a problem. The alliance of 5 emperors was established by the Lushan clan's martial cultivators to rule the entire Shunwu world, as well as to serve the Lushan clan. But now, the Netherworld realm was no longer under the control of the Lushan clan. At least for now, Long Yu did not see a single person from the Lushan clan. In that case, there was no need for the alliance of 5 emperors to continue existing. Furthermore, the living beings of Shunwu World can only live for 1 more year. After this year, if everything goes smoothly, I will move them all to my own mini-world to live and cultivate. That way, the existence of the alliance of 5 emperors can even be considered an obstacle. After thinking about this for a while, Long Yu finally thought of a good way to properly manage Shunwu World. Ending the alliance of 5 emperors wasn't too hard for Long Yu, but the hard part was to create a new system to govern the entire Shunwu world. And Long Yu thought of a way to create a unified system for everyone to follow. And that was to create the 9 Hell Heaven Stairs. The 9 Hell Heaven Stairs was created by Long Yu using the world's power to create a stairway to heaven on top of Shunwu World. The main function of the 9 Hell Heaven Stairs was to increase the cultivation speed of the martial cultivators on the stairway. This goal was very easy to achieve. He only needed to use the world's power to create a formation that could gather the spirit of heaven and earth on top of the 9 Hell Heaven Stairs. Since Shunwu World would become barren after 1 year, rather than wasting the spirit of heaven and earth, he might as well use this 1 year's time to increase the cultivation of everyone in the 9 Hell Heaven Stairs as fast as possible. That way, Long would be a bit safer when he travels around beyond Heaven World. After all, he was only a peak Emperor realm in beyond Heaven World. If he had a few 6-star Emperors or 7-star Emperors to help him, wouldn't he be a lot safer? Of course, in the 9 Hell Heaven Stairs, it would be a bit harder to reach the level of an Emperor, but it would at least allow more people to reach the peak of Emperor Realm. That way, the overall strength of the world would also be better. Because the 9 Hell Heaven Stairs was a mini-world, it contained the power of creation, so the spirit of heaven and earth could be constantly regenerated and condensed. Normally speaking, it wouldn't run out. But if the spirit of heaven and earth was being consumed faster than it could be condensed, then the spirit of heaven and earth in the 9 Hell Heaven Stairs would eventually dry up. Originally, with so many people in Shunwu World absorbing the spirit of heaven and earth, the amount of spirit of heaven and earth was in a balanced state. But Long Yu's idea was to create enough spirit-gathering formations to allow a few people to cultivate as fast as possible and increase their cultivation. That way, the spirit of heaven and earth would slowly run out, but as long as it could last for 1 year, that would be enough. As for what would happen after 1 year, Long Yu didn't care about that for now. At that time, the entire 9 heaven stairs would be filled with the destructive power of the Death Star spiral, so even Long Yu himself wouldn't be able to enter. Spending 2 days, Long Yu roughly calculated the best method to create a spirit-gathering formation that would allow the spirit of heaven and earth to last for 1 year in the 9 heaven stairs. Using this method to create a spirit-gathering formation, under the condition that the spirit of heaven and earth in the 9 heaven stairs can last for 1 year, it would create a condition that would allow a few martial cultivators to greatly increase their cultivation speed. The key to achieving this condition lies in the 9 hell stairs that Long Yu had envisioned. Long Yu will destroy the sacred tower. Then on the ruins of the sacred tower, he will rebuild the 9 nether heavenly stairway. The 9 nether heavenly stairway is divided into 100 levels. Even the lowest level can increase a cultivator's cultivation speed by 200 times. This speed would already surpass the best cultivation formation in the 5 Emperors' Holy City, the Glorious Sun Tavern's Glorious Sun formation, as well as the Sacred Tower's Star Spirit formation. In the past, both the Glorious Sun formation and the Star Spirit formation could increase a cultivator's cultivation speed by 100 times, and only a few people would be able to enjoy such an excellent cultivation condition. But as long as Long Yu completed the 9 nether heavenly stairway, even some of the lowest level cultivators, as long as they had enough cultivation talent, will be able to enter the first level of the 9 nether heavenly stairway and enjoy a 200 times increase in cultivation speed. Not only that, the stronger ones would be able to pass the test and enter the second step of the 9 hell stairs, which would be a 400 times increase in cultivation speed. Going further up, the third step of the 9 hell stairs would be a 600 times increase in cultivation speed, so on and so forth. If one could enter the highest step of the 9 hell stairs, which is the 100th step, that would be a 20,000 times increase in cultivation speed. That way, 1 day of cultivation at the highest step of the 9 hell stairs would be equivalent to 60 years of cultivation for a normal person in the outside world. What kind of terrifying effect is that? With the appearance of such a powerful 9 underworld sky stairs, even if Long Yu were to cripple the 5 Emperors Alliance, there wouldn't be many who would object, because this was something that would benefit everyone in Shenwu world. Even the higher-ups of the Alliance of 5 Emperors, who doesn't want to take a step forward in martial arts. And the rules of the 9 hell stairs will be decided by Long Yu, who had the qualifications to step onto the 9 underworld heavenly stairway. How to step onto the next level of the 9 underworld heavenly stairway. These rules were personally set by Long Yu. Overall, it would not take too much of his time. The main reason is that he has control over 80% of the 9 hell mark, so he can use the power of the entire 9 hell world at will. Building a 9 hell stairs will be a piece of cake. The only thing he can't do is create something out of nothing. The current Long Yu lacks the power of creation, so he still isn't in existence of the ruler's secret realm. Otherwise, he would be able to achieve what he wants with just a thought. But now, he needs to spend a few days to create the 9 hell stairs. The Northern Snow Empire? This place carries too many memories. In the Northern Snow Empire, Long Yu saw many of his former brothers and friends. For example, the Jintian clan from the Heavenly Mandate Continent, the entire Sex Disciples, Azura Commandery, the group of friends led by Azura Commandery Princess Shu Chan, North Snow Empire, the forces led by Yuhan Xin, and in the Holy City of the 5 Emperors, several of the Red Emperor's direct disciples. All of them are now developing in the Northern Snow Empire, and have built the Northern Snow Empire into the most powerful existence around. Long Yu's idea of building the 9 hell stairs hasn't been put into practice yet. He wants to first explain it to the people of the Northern Snow Empire, then move the entire Northern Snow Empire to the Holy City of the 5 Emperors. If it was before, this idea would be unheard of, but for the current Long Yu, He only needs to activate the 9 Helm mark and condense the power of the world to achieve his goal, moving the entire Northern Snow Empire to the holy city of the 5 Emperors, next to the 9 Hell Stairs that is about to be completed. This way, the cultivation conditions of the Northern Snow Empire will become even better. The idea of changing the situation of the entire Shenwu world was decided by Long Yu in just 2 days. When he arrived at the North Snow capital of the Northern Snow Empire, he found that at this moment, the Northern Snow Empire just happened to run into a big problem. Long Yu hid on one side and didn't show himself. Glancing at the black mass of people in the sky above the North Snow capital, his expression darkened. They're people from the 6 sects and 10 countries. Could it be that these people from the 6 sects and 10 countries are here to attack the Northern Snow Empire? As Long Yu hid on one side, no one was able to find him. After listening for a while, he understood that the situation was exactly as he thought. The 6 sects and 10 countries were shocked by the Northern Snow Empire's rapid growth, so they're here to suppress it. This isn't too surprising. After all, the Northern Snow Empire has been growing too quickly recently, making the 6 sects and 10 countries feel threatened. The more combatants there are in the Northern Snow Empire, the more cultivation resources they need. Where are they going to come from? Of course, by competing with other forces. In the process of competing, the 6 sects and 10 countries have been losing so many times that they finally couldn't take it anymore and decided to band together, preparing to launch a joint attack against the Northern Snow Empire. The main goal of this joint attack is to suppress the Northern Snow Empire's growth and plunder enough cultivation resources from the Northern Snow Empire to make up for the losses the 6 sects and 10 countries suffered in the previous competition. How interesting! For the current Long Yu, this situation is nothing more than a small skirmish. He can easily destroy the thousands of people from the 6 sects and 10 countries. Chapter 1048. Long Yu flew quietly at the side, observing the situation in the clouds. There were thousands of people from the 6 sects and 10 countries. They were a dense mass of people, and they descended into the sky above the Northern Snow Imperial capital through the teleportation formation. Among them were people from the 9 Sun sect, the Water Moon Sword sect, and the Taiwu Empire. Among them was the white-haired and white-bearded old man who had tried to recruit Long Yu before the 5 Emperors' Phantom Realm, Taiwu Abyss. This operation was led by Taiwu Abyss and a few other supreme experts. They led a group of experts from the 6 sects and 10 countries to the Northern Snow Empire to make trouble and force the Northern Snow Empire to hand over their cultivation resources. Long Yu did not know at that time, but now he saw that Taiwu Abyss was also at the level of a 2-star emperor. Although he was not as strong as the 5 emperors, he was not far from them. Only in this way could he become the Taiwu Empire's retired emperor and make the Taiwu Empire more prosperous. There were 3 other experts with Taiwu Abyss, and they were all at the 2-star emperor realm. One of them was from the 9 Sun sect. He was dressed in a blue robe with blue flame patterns. His whole person was like a cluster of blue flames, and he exuded a domineering aura. This person was the retired sect leader of the 9 Sun sect, Zhang Jing. The other one was dressed in a snow-white dress, with a snow-white scabbard hanging from her waist. Her white hair floated down to her buttocks. She was a rare beauty with a cold and elegant temperament. This woman was a retired sect leader of the Water Moon Sword sect, Shuiwe Qingxia. The last one was from the crazy Immortal Empire. He was a strong man holding a giant shield. He was the first prince of the crazy Immortal Empire, Yuan Chengtian, and he exuded a vigorous aura. Taiwu Abyss, Shuiwe Qingxia, Zhang Jing, and Yuan Xingtian were the 4 strongest in the camp of the 6 sects and 10 countries. They were all powerful existences of the 2-star emperor level. In addition to the 4 of them, the other 12 camps of the 6 sects and 10 countries also had emperor-level existences, but all of them were 1-star emperor-level existences. They gathered together and wanted to use this powerful force to wipe out the Northern Snow Empire in one fell swoop. They wanted to cripple the Northern Snow Empire so that they couldn't turn the situation around. The changes in the 9 Serenities realm didn't affect anyone in Shunwu World. For the people of Shunwu World, they still didn't know that the realm of 9 serenities had undergone a huge change. Not only did Long Yu become the Lord of 9 serenities, but the entire realm of 9 serenities was no longer within the Lushan clan galaxy. If the people of the 6 sects and 10 countries knew about this, they wouldn't dare to gather people to deal with the Northern Snow Empire. There were a total of 4 2-star emperors and 12 1-star emperors, leading many emperors, and kings. Among the thousands of people, there wasn't a single one who hadn't reached the Emperor Path Secret Realm. With such a powerful force, even if they were to go against the alliance of 5 emperors, they would have the possibility of toppling the alliance of 5 emperors. People of the Northern Snow Empire, listen to me. The sturdy man with the giant shield, Yuan Chengtian, had an evil smile on his face. He looked down from above and roared at the entire Northern Snow Empire. The people of the Northern Snow Empire are too arrogant, stealing countless cultivation resources from the 6 sects and 10 countries. Today, the 6 sects and 10 countries will unite and demand justice from the people of the Northern Snow Empire. If Yuhanshin doesn't give a reasonable explanation, then today, I will wash the Northern Snow Empire with blood. As a 2-star emperor, Yuan Xingtian could be regarded as a top cultivator in the Shenwu world. As the eldest prince of the crazed immortal empire, he already had countless cultivation resources. It was normal for him to cultivate to the 2-star emperor level. After becoming a 2-star emperor, he was qualified to challenge the 5 emperors. This meant that in the Shenwu world, Yuan Xingtian, was definitely ranked first among the experts. This gave him the right to be arrogant. If no one could stop him, it was not impossible for him to wash the entire Northern Snow Empire with blood. It was extremely easy for him. The Northern Snow Empire was instantly in chaos. When the dark mass of thousands of people appeared in the sky above the North Snow capital with murderous intent, it was already very oppressive. Now that Yuan Qingtian's words were spoken, the situation in the capital was instantly thrown into chaos. However, at this moment, someone finally flew out from the imperial palace of the Northern Snow Empire. However, there was only one person who flew out. It was Yuhanshin, the emperor of the Northern Snow Empire. Long Yu looked at the scene from afar. After observing Yuhanshin for a while, he found that Yuhanshin had already stepped into the peak emperor realm. Her martial arts realm did not fall behind at all. Compared to Long Yu, her speed was almost the same. The main reason was that Long Yu had been focusing on controlling the 9 Serenities mark for the past half a year and did not pay much attention to improving his martial arts realm. Therefore, it was normal for Yuhanshin to catch up to him. But why is she the only one? Long Yu was a little puzzled. He glanced at the imperial palace again and found that Yuhanshin was the only one in the Northern Snow Empire. The others were still in the other cities. They were not prepared for the action of the 6 sects and 10 countries. However, the appearance of Yuhanshin had slightly stabilized the situation in the Northern Snow Empire, because everyone was very confident in Yuhanshin. Since the time when the Northern Snow Empire was still the Northern Snow Empire, Yuhanshin had already established a very high image in front of everyone. Now, although they were facing the joint attack of the 6 sects and 10 countries, ordinary martial arts practitioners in the Northern Snow Empire all believed that Yuhanshin would be able to repel the enemy. Moreover, there were many experts in the current Northern Snow Empire. There were even countless experts among the common people. You have come from afar, but the first thing you say is to slaughter my Northern Snow Empire. Isn't this a little too much? Yuhanshin appeared and floated in front of the thousands of people from the 6 sects and 10 countries. Facing thousands of people alone, she did not seem to be overwhelmed by the opponent's aura at all. In addition to the majestic aura of a peak Emperor Realm martial arts practitioner, there was also a kind of extremely cold aura. This kind of aura was not something that Yuhanshin did not have before. It seems that Yuhanshin has obtained the inheritance of that place. Long Yu could tell at a glance that Yuhanshin had followed the directions he left behind to explore the ancient ruins. The owner of the ancient ruins was originally a strange beast from the Ice God clan that was imprisoned by the Geo Dragon Emperor. When the Geo Dragon Emperor died, the strange beast also died, leaving only a ruin behind. When Long Yu traveled around the Shunwu world and found the ancient ruins, he sent the information about its location to Yu Hanxin. From the looks of it, Yu Hanxin had entered the ruins and obtained the inheritance. That strange beast from the Ice God clan was at least a great ruler rank figure when it was alive, so it was natural that it was unwilling to die and left behind many good things. Yu Hanxin was very lucky to be able to obtain it. After all, the ancient ruins left behind by the strange beast must have contained many traps for humans and beasts. It was not easy for Yu Hanxin to obtain the inheritance. I wonder what the strange beast from the Ice God clan left behind in the ancient ruins? Long Yu was also quite curious about this. Perhaps Yu Hanxin's absolute strength was even stronger than his. If they were to go to outer space, she should be able to become a great help to him. TSK, Yu Hanxin, why did you come out alone? Aren't you afraid of being gang raped by us? The bulky man, Yuan Chengtan, scanned Yu Hanxin up and down with an evil gaze. Although you're a beast cultivator, your figure is better than most human female martial arts cultivators. Excellent, truly excellent. Yu Hanxin, you don't have to struggle anymore. If you submit to me, Yuan Qingtian, I'll let you live. How about it? Yuan Qingtian, we're here to negotiate. Taiwu Abyss was also displeased with Yuan Chengtian's attitude. He said with a slight frown, Yu Hanxin, as long as you agree to our conditions, we, the 6 sects and 10 countries, will leave immediately and not make things difficult for your Northern Snow Empire. How about that? Yu Hanxin took a look at the bulky man, Yuan Qingtian. She did not say anything, but a trace of murderous intent flashed across her eyes. This guy really deserves to die for his blabbermouth. What conditions? Tell me. Yu Hanxin ignored Yuan Qingtian and asked Taiwu Abyss. It's simple. There are a total of 15 conditions. First, you must hand over all the ancient level and even arcane martial skills in your Northern Snow Empire to the 6 sects and 10 countries to comprehend together. Taiwu Abyss said calmly. Second, you must hand over half of the cultivation resources produced in your Northern Snow Empire to the 6 sects and 10 countries unconditionally. Third, you must send all the cultivators in your Northern Snow Empire whose strength exceeds the Emperor Path mystical realm to the 6 sects and 10 countries for us to train. Fourth, enough. Yu Hanxin immediately waved her hand. There's no need to say anything else. I can't agree to these 3 conditions. Therefore, you don't have to mention the remaining 12 conditions, right? Yu Hanxin's resolute refusal surprised the people of the 6 sects and 10 countries, even before the other party finished listing the conditions. This female beast cultivator was quite bold. Unfortunately, it was not the time to show off her boldness. Yu Hanxin rejected their conditions, which meant she chose to fight. Haha, ridiculous. Taiwu Abyss laughed disdainfully when his conditions were interrupted by Yu Hanxin. Yu Hanxin, do you think anyone will come to help your Northern Snow Empire at this time? Dream on. Even the alliance of 5 emperors. I'll cut the crap. I'll just say this. If you don't agree to these 15 conditions, the entire Northern Snow Empire will be slaughtered by us. The 6 sects and 10 countries will control the entire Northern Snow Empire. And you can't stop us at all. As Taiwu Abyss finished his last sentence, the thousands of people of the 6 sects and 10 countries released their auras. They were all experts of the Emperor Path mystical realm, which directly enveloped the entire Northern Snow Empire. Chapter 1049. When the Taiwu Abyss threatened Yu Hanxin, suddenly 3 figures quietly appeared behind Yu Hanxin. I didn't expect the 6 sects and 10 countries to be so shameless. So many people bullying a woman. It really gave me a big fright. With a loud laugh and a confident line, a man holding a sword walked out from behind Yu Hanxin. He was one of the former direct disciples of the Scarlet Emperor, Nalen Jun. It's not so easy to attack the Northern Snow Empire. A fat figure walked out from behind Yu Hanxin and stood in front of Yu Hanxin. This person was one of the personal disciples of the Red Emperor, Linfeng. Sixth sister, we arrived first. The others are behind us and will arrive soon. A slim woman also stood in front of Yu Hanxin. It was Yu Linfeng's sister, Yu Shaoyin. Like Yu Hanxin, the three of them were all personal disciples of the Red Emperor. Now that the Northern Snow Empire was in trouble, they naturally couldn't just stand by and watch. In fact, when they noticed the arrival of a large number of people from the 6 sects and 10 countries, the three of them were cultivating in Heavenly Mandate City. Then, they informed the people in Heavenly Mandate City and rushed over first. The appearance of these 3 people surprised Long Yu again. Oh my, these 3 guys are cultivating a bit fast. They have all reached the level of a 1-star emperor. Yu Linfeng, Yu Shaoyin, and Nailan Jun have all improved a lot, and it seems that each of them has obtained an inheritance from an ancient relic. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. It was going to be a good show to watch. Although the martial arts realm of Nailan Jun and the other 2 had only reached the level of a 1-star emperor, with the inheritance from an ancient relic, it was absolutely not a problem to deal with a 2-star emperor like the Taiwu Abyss. Right now, the problem was that the other party had too many people. If thousands of people were to swarm them, they would be able to overwhelm Yu Hanxin's group of 4 to death. He, the remnants of the former Red Emperor. 3 1-star emperor. Their strength is not bad, but it's a pity that they don't have the right to negotiate with us on equal terms. Taiwu Abyss said with a fake smile, "Do you have any other reinforcements? If you do, then call them out for this old man. Let this old man see if you have the qualifications to speak equally with our 6 sects and 10 nations." Hearing Taiwu Abyss's words, the young swordsman, Nailan Jun, smiled and said, "Don't worry, I won't disappoint you." As soon as he finished speaking, 3 enormous shadows were suddenly projected down from the clouds in the sky, and it caused everyone present to be shocked. Taiwu Abyss and the others practically raised their heads at the same time and looked up, and they immediately saw 3 enormous ancient palaces. One of the palaces exuded a horrifying aura of death. The other ancient palace contained endless Azura divine runes and was filled with killing intent. The last ancient palace was surrounded by a thick Yellow Springs aura, as if it wanted to turn the entire world into the Yellow Springs realm. The 3 ancient palaces descended from the sky. Just one of them was several times larger than the thousands of people combined, and its shadow covered the entire North Snow Imperial City. Ancient Death Palace, Azura Ancient Palace, and Yellow Springs Ancient Palace. Just like now, Xiangwu, Shuchan, and Duguijian have completely mastered these 3 ancient palaces. These are top-grade ancient combat weapons, and they can unleash even greater power when used together. Long Yu's eyes also lit up. The 3 ancient palaces appear at the same time, and their imposing aura enveloped the entire area, which surprised Long Yu. If the 3 of them joined forces to set up a defensive formation, even if the 5 emperors joined forces, they would not be able to break through. Of course, that would greatly consume the energy stored in the ancient palaces, but with the defense of the 3 ancient palaces, the North Snow Imperial City would be completely impregnable. At least within 3 days, the enemies would not be able to break through, even if thousands of people attacked at the same time. Although the 9 Nether Soaring Dragon formation only had 3 ancient palaces, and it was not complete, it was still a piece of cake to stop the people of the 6 sects and 10 countries. The appearance of the 3 ancient palaces caused the people of the North Snow Imperial City to cheer. Many of them had heard that during the Dark Moon Calamity, these 3 legendary ancient palaces had appeared and blocked the spread of the Sea of Death Chi, and finally protected the Azura Ancient Palace and the entire Northern Snow Empire. As for the surrounding countries and sects, they were all turned into ashes in the Dark Moon Calamity, and many of them were killed or injured. This, Taiwu Abyss originally did not have any information about these 3 ancient palaces, and at this moment, he could not help but be dumbfounded. He could feel the awe-inspiring aura from these 3 ancient palaces. Any one of these ancient palaces had the strength to fight against him, a 2-star emperor. These three ancient palaces could at least hold back 3 two-star emperors. Such terrifying strength really shocked them. It seems that we have to add one more condition to the 15. The 16th condition. These three ancient palaces will also belong to the 6 sects and 10 countries. As soon as the sturdy man, Yuan Qingtian, saw the three ancient palaces, a look of greed flashed in his eyes. He could feel the awe-inspiring aura from the three ancient palaces, but he was still confident that he could easily crush the Northern Snow Empire and then force them to hand over everything. Don't be careless, attack now, and finish the battle quickly. Taiwu Abyss was more astute and immediately realized that the situation was not so good. If the Northern Snow Empire used all their trump cards and fought at the same time, it would not be so easy for them to take down the Northern Snow Empire. They had to strike first to gain the upper hand and destroy a part of the opponent's strength. Yuan Chantan, Shui Wei Qingxia, each of us will deal with one ancient palace. We must take them down as soon as possible. Zhang Jing, I'll leave the situation here to you. Don't let anything go wrong. After saying this, Taiwu Abyss first flew toward the ancient death palace on the left. His left hand condensed the divine character of flame. The right hand condensed the divine character of ice, and his eyes emitted the divine character of light. He combined the power of the three divine characters at the same time, and released a three-colored light beam of destruction toward the ancient death palace. As Taiwu Abyss attacked, Yuan Qingtian from the crazy immortal empire and Shui Wei Qingxia from the Shui Wei sword sect also attacked. The giant shield in Yuan Qingtian's hand suddenly shot up like a huge cannonball, directly toward the ancient death palace in the center. The burly man, Yuan Qingtian, revealed an evil smile at the corner of his mouth. Watch my sky-breaking giant shield, sky-breaking strike. Although he was holding a giant shield that was used for defense, it was also extremely powerful when it came to attacking. He had already reached the level of divine fusion with this giant shield, and he was only a step away from becoming an unparalleled warrior. The sky-breaking giant shield, sky-breaking strike, arrived with a loud bang, like a meteor that was going to completely penetrate the ancient death palace. Shui Wei sword, the grand sect leader of the Shui Wei sword sect, the beautiful woman, Shui Wei Qingxia, held a snow-white long sword in her hand. It was an ancient supreme grade combat weapon, the same grade as Yuan Qingtian's sky-breaking giant shield. At this moment, a snow-white sword light pierced through the sky at the speed of light, and no one could react in time. This was the unique skill of the Shui Wei sword sect, the Shui Wei sword, which possessed an unparalleled, terrifying speed. Shui Wei Qingxia's target was the ancient Azura Palace on the right. The 3 two-star Emperor warriors attacked the 3 ancient palaces at the same time. Almost at the moment when the 3 ancient palaces appeared, their attacks had already landed. The fastest was Shui Wei Qingxia's snow-white sword light, which instantly slashed on the outer wall of the ancient Azura Palace. When the sword light slashed on the surface of the ancient Azura Palace, a terrifying wave of energy burst out. The powerful energy wave pushed the ancient Azura Palace back dozens of miles. However, Shui Wei Qingxia's face darkened when she saw this, because she realized that her sword light did not leave a single mark on the ancient Azura Palace. Inside the ancient Azura Palace, Shu Chan was sitting in the center, controlling the ancient palace. She had just condensed a defensive barrier with Azura divine runes and successfully resisted the opponent's attack. How could an ancient supreme grade combat weapon, the ancient Azura Palace, be destroyed so easily? On the other side, the sky-piercing shield's sky-piercing strike crashed into the layer of Yellow Springs aura surrounding the Yellow Springs ancient hall. A dazzling light burst out, illuminating the entire area like the sun. With a loud bang, the ancient Azura Palace was sent flying high into the sky. At the point of impact, a dazzling light burst out. All of it was the terrifying energy released by the heaven-breaking shield. However, just like the Azura ancient palace earlier, This netherworld ancient palace was not damaged at all by Yuan Qingtian's sky-piercing giant shield. As for the ancient death palace, it was attacked by the extreme martial abyss's fusion of 3 divine runes. The aura of death instantly spread out and enveloped the tricolored light beam. Then, the Death Order was unleashed and directly used on the extreme martial abyss. Compared to Shu Quan and Dugu Yijian, Xiangwu's martial arts realm was the highest. Moreover, she had a deeper understanding of the ancient Death Palace. After all, she had obtained the true inheritance of the Death Envoy. Therefore, together with the ancient Death Palace, she did not show any signs of weakness in the battle against the extreme martial abyss. She was not even pushed back. At the very beginning, she had melted the opponent's tricolored light beam and launched a counterattack against the extreme martial abyss. When the Death Order descended, the extreme martial abyss felt a force from the god of death tightly gripping his entire body, causing him to feel the threat of death. Such a situation made the extreme martial abyss's expression change greatly. He had never thought that there would be someone in the Northern Snow Empire who could pose a threat to him. The information he had obtained in advance was too wrong. It was a big mistake. The information obtained by the scouts was that the Northern Snow Empire only had a few 1-star emperors at most. There was not a single 2-star emperor. But now, what was going on with these 3 ancient palaces? How could they resist the attacks of 3 2-star emperors? Stop playing around. Deal with them with all your might. The extreme martial abyss's expression was extremely gloomy. He raised his hand and prepared to unleash his strongest Emperor Path mystic ability. Chapter 1050. The appearance of the 3 ancient palaces immediately stalled the 3 2-star sovereign emperors. The 3 of them were pinned down, and only the Nine-Sun Sect Supreme Sect leader, Zhang Jing, was left. Zhang Jing's face was gloomy. He glanced at the battle between the 3 ancient palaces and Taiwu Abyss and the other 2 in the sky. Although Taiwu Abyss and the other 2 would not be defeated in a short period of time, they were already entangled by the 3 ancient palaces and could not help in other areas. In other words, the appearance of the 3 ancient palaces had directly restrained the 3 strongest experts on their side. Everyone spread out and kill. Zhang Jing thought for a while, his eyes filled with cruelty. He gave an order to the thousands of people behind him. They were actually going to massacre the entire North Snow Imperial City. The thousands of Emperor Path Secret Realm martial practitioners from the 6 sects and 10 countries immediately obeyed Zhang Jing's order and flew down towards the North Snow Imperial City, preparing to massacre all the martial practitioners in the North Snow Imperial City. This situation made Long Yu, who was watching from the side, narrow his eyes. Was it time to help? If he were to lend a hand, the whole thing would come to an end immediately. However, that would be too boring. Currently, he wanted to find a martial cultivator in the North Snow Empire with great potential and train him or her so that he could travel with him in the outer world, so that he would not have to fight alone. Let's wait a little longer. The Northern Snow Empire should have a way to deal with this situation. Long Yu finally decided to believe in the people of the Northern Snow Empire. Whether it was Yuan Xin, Shu Quan, or Gu Yixian, they must have improved a lot. Soon, Long Yu knew that his decision was correct. The thousands of people spread out and rushed towards the North Snow Imperial City. They wanted to massacre the entire North Snow Imperial City. However, they had neglected one point. The number of people in the North Snow Imperial City was definitely far more than the thousands of them. Although their overall martial arts realm might not be as strong as these thousands of people, in terms of numbers, they were far more powerful than these thousands of people. Sending these thousands of people to slaughter the North Snow Imperial City was really an extremely stupid decision. A late-stage king realm martial cultivator from the 6 sects and 10 countries curled up the corners of his mouth and revealed a bloody and evil smile. He stared at a group of female cultivators in the North Snow Imperial City and flew over, trying to capture them into his inner world. In the beginning, he saw that the group of female cultivators were only at the divine secret realm. Although there were more than 30 of them gathered together, their overall strength was definitely not comparable to a King Realm late-stage powerhouse like him. But when this person faced the group of female cultivators, he found that he was wrong. He was gravely mistaken. How could this group of female cultivators only have the cultivation of the God Realm? These female cultivators could actually form an extremely terrifying formation with 33 people as the foundation. Within the formation, snow drifted in the air and boundless coldness caused the late King Realm martial cultivator to shiver. In just an instant, he was completely frozen within the formation. The freezing spell formation from the ancient relic is really powerful. Among the 33 female cultivators, the leader was Tang Qin, who had now reached the 7 paths of Divinity Realm. She was originally the leader of the Ice sect of the Tang Empire on the Heavenly Mandate continent. It could be said that among the people of the Tang Empire in the past, Tang Qin was the one who cared about Long Yu the most, except for the Jintian clan. In the past, when Long Yu and the Jintian clan were in danger, Tang Qin had lent a helping hand. Then, she followed Long Yu all the way to the present level. Under the leadership of Tang Qin, many martial cultivators of the Ice sect explored an ancient relic and obtained the freezing spell formation. When the 33 people used it, they could deal with opponents 3 levels higher than them in martial arts. For example, at this moment, the 33 female cultivators of the Divine Secret Realm easily froze the late-stage King Realm martial cultivator from the 6 sects and 10 countries, and then killed him with endless cold air. "Watch out, leader!" After killing the late-stage King Realm martial cultivator, a shout suddenly came from behind Tang Qin and the others. Then, the figure of a beautiful girl appeared in front of everyone. It was Feng Yao. Feng Yao was Tang Qin's disciple and had a good relationship with Tang Qin. At this moment, Feng Yao had actually stepped into the late-stage King Realm. She had appeared at this time to help Tang Qin stop an early-stage Emperor Realm martial cultivator. The early-stage Emperor Realm martial cultivator saw the 33 female cultivators forming the freezing spell formation and wanted to help kill them. If it was an Emperor Realm martial cultivator, Tang Qin and the other 33 women would not be able to fight against him. After all, their martial arts realm was only the Divine Secret Realm. Fortunately, Feng Yao appeared at the crucial moment. With a raise of her hand, an ancient-grade, large fan battle weapon appeared. Torrential storm divine runes condensed, instantly forming a tornado. Royal path magic. Blast of gale. With a shout, Feng Yao unleashed her King Dao divine ability, causing Long Yu, who was watching from afar, to be slightly astonished. This little girl was actually only at the late stage of the King Realm, yet she had already comprehended a King Dao divine ability. Back when Long Yu was a King Realm martial cultivator, he had only comprehended the royal path magic. Compared to Feng Yao, he was clearly much weaker. Of course, Feng Yao was only able to do so because she had explored an ancient ruin and obtained her own fortune. The location of these ancient ruins had been transmitted to the people of the Northern Snow Empire by Long Yu. The violent tornado, the royal path magic, and the blast of gale instantly engulfed the early-stage Emperor Realm martial cultivator. Although he was a level higher than Feng Yao, the early-stage Emperor Realm martial cultivator was unable to put up much of a fight under the suppression of the ancient-level fan weapon. He used all sorts of methods, but was still devoured by the blast of gale in the end. He was torn to pieces in the eye of the storm and died. Junior brother. A miserable cry sounded from the side. A late-stage Emperor Realm martial cultivator wielding a sword flew towards Feng Yao. He waved his long sword and immediately condensed 2 fiery sword auras. They rushed towards Feng Yao like fiery dragons. Feng Yao's expression changed slightly. With her current cultivation realm, she was no match for the late-stage Emperor Realm martial cultivator. If she tried to fight him head-on, she would most likely die. The gap between their cultivation realms was just too great. However, at this moment, a hearty voice sounded from behind her. "Miss Feng, you should back off. Let us deal with this person." 2 beautiful figures, one male and one female, leapt out from Feng Yao's side and charged towards the two fiery sword auras. The man and woman were Ling Han and Ling Yue. The siblings had already stepped into the Emperor realm. Although they were only at the early stage Emperor realm, it wasn't impossible for them to deal with the late stage Emperor realm martial cultivator if they worked together. Yue combined. Ling Han laughed heartily. Then, Ling Yue's beautiful figure turned into a beam of sword light. This was a sword transformation technique that allowed Ling Yue to transform into a longsword. Then, Ling Han wielded the longsword that Ling Yue had transformed into. His aura abruptly skyrocketed. Ling Han and Ling Yue became one with their swords and instantly broke through the two fiery sword auras, slashing towards the late-stage Emperor realm martial cultivator. In the past, the Geo-Dragon Emperor imprisoned too many living beings in this Shunwu world. There are too many secrets buried in the many ancient ruins here. I've never heard of a sword transformation technique like this. Lan Yu couldn't help but sigh emotionally as he watched Ling Han and Ling Yue work together to suppress the late-stage Emperor realm martial cultivator. Although he had told the people of the North Snow Empire the locations of the antiquity ruins, he did not know what was in them. It seemed that there were countless treasures buried in each of the antiquity ruins. Although Ling Han and Ling Yue were only at the early stage Emperor realm, they had no problem fighting a late-stage Emperor realm martial cultivator when they worked together. They quickly suppressed the late-stage Emperor realm martial cultivator and would probably be able to kill him soon enough. Lan Yu no longer paid attention to the situation here. Instead, he shifted his gaze to the other side. The other battlefield was much more intense. 6 great emperors from the 6 sects and 10 nations had formed a small team and were ready to slaughter all the cultivators in the Northern Snow Empire. However, they were stopped by 3 people from another small team before they could act. Man Xian, Qi Hua, and Hua Mei. These 3 seemed to be on better terms than before. Lan Yu couldn't help but recall memories from a long time ago when he saw them. A faint smile appeared on his lips. In the past, when Lan Yu was still with them, Man Xian, Qi Hua, and Hua Mei were the ones with the highest cultivation base. Even after such a long time, they were still the same. Man Xian had already stepped into the mid-stage Emperor realm with the Storm Devil Blade in his hand. Qi Hua and Hua Mei had comprehended the origin-level Heavenly Fire Divine runes and were now in the early Emperor realm. The 3 of them had to work together against the 6 great emperors from the 6 sects and 10 countries. On average, each of them had to deal with 2 great emperors. It was extremely difficult. Moreover, the 6 great emperors were at least mid-stage great emperors. There was even a late-stage great emperor among them. Fight! 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 Ha ha ha! Man Xian was still fighting as if he didn't care about his own life. He held the stormy demon saber in his hand, which had evolved into a supreme-grade ancient combat weapon and was shrouded in the demon's sealing runes. In an instant, he unleashed 7 beams of demon sealing blade that descended from the sky and stalled 3 of his opponents, including the bald late-stage martial emperor. The rampaging demon sealing divine runes had long since reached the origin level. Most importantly, Man Xian had already reached an unparalleled level of compatibility with the Storm Demon Saber. This Storm Demon Saber had already developed its own consciousness. Chapter 1051. To think that the Northern Snow Empire would have such an expert. The bald late-stage Great Emperor expert paled when he was intercepted by Man Xian. He didn't think that the Northern Snow Empire would have such an expert. A mid-stage Great Emperor was able to fight against him and his 2 other mid-stage Great Emperor friends. This made him think of the competition between the strongest Emperor realm and the strongest King realm experts. But this guy with the demonic blade didn't appear in that competition either. How did he reach such a terrifying level in just a few short years? Of course, he didn't know that the Northern Snow Empire had Long Yu's support. Just the location of the ancient ruins alone was enough for the Northern Snow Empire to rise rapidly. Man Xian's berserk demon sealing runes completely suppressed the three mid-stage great emperors. Qi Hua and Hua Mer were much more relaxed, as if they were playing a game. The three mid-stage great emperors were completely suppressed by the heavenly fire divine runes. They didn't even have the slightest ability to resist. Qi Hua and Hua Mei weren't much weaker than Man Xian in every other aspect except for their cultivation realm. Therefore, the three mid-stage great emperors weren't a problem for the two of them. It only took them 10 breaths to bury the three mid-stage great emperors in the terrifying heavenly fire. The victory of this small team battle had already been decided. The combination of Man Xian, Qi Hua, and Hua Mei could be said to be invincible in the Emperor realm. Even if they encountered a peak Emperor realm expert, they would be able to resist. Unless an Emperor-level expert was deployed, it was impossible to defeat the three of them. Man Xian and the other two did not waste any time either. After the three of them defeated the remaining three opponents, they immediately went to other places to help. Long Yu took a look at the many seniors and seniors of the Jintian clan. Among them was the leader of the Jintian clan, Bai Yunzong, and a few elders, including Yu Shengshi, Li Bufan, and Yu Shuiyan. They were all late-stage Great King realm experts. At the very least, they had the ability to protect themselves in a battle of this scale. If they encountered a stronger opponent, they would naturally send their own people to help. Among them, the most eye-catching was Long Yu's eldest senior brother, Bufang. Right now, Bufang was an early-stage Great Emperor. His speed of cultivation was extremely fast, almost the same as Qi Hua and Hua Mei. All of this was because he went to explore an ancient ruin and encountered a remnant soul of an expert. That wisp of remnant soul came from a foreign powerhouse that was captured by the Dragon Emperor of the Nine Abyss millions of years ago. He was only left with a wisp of divine sense, and after seeing Bufang, he imparted everything he knew to Bufang. When this outsider was alive, his cultivation was definitely not inferior to the Envoy of Death. One could imagine how powerful his inheritance was. Walking, he alone blocked one side of the heaven-suppressing sex people. Once any great emperors came over, he would block half of them. As for the other half, Yin Huanma blocked them. Because Yin Huanma was compatible with the Shadow Attribute Divine Rune, she was taught the Divine Rune of Death by Long Yu. Now, because she followed Shi Yingwu, she comprehended the Divine Rune of Death. In fact, everyone in the Death Legion that Long Yu formed had already comprehended the Divine Rune of Death. They only needed to go to the Death Ancient Palace to comprehend it. It wasn't difficult, and it wouldn't waste any of Shi Yangwu's time. Yin Huanma's current cultivation was also at the early Emperor realm. Her strength was similar to Bufang's. She and Shi Yingwu had practiced many of the Envoy of Death's martial skills, so their strength was not inferior to Bufang's. Yin Huanma and Bufang blocked all the invading enemies for the Jintian clan. Together with the original Jintian clan, they continuously killed the martial cultivators of the 6 sects and 10 countries who wanted to slaughter the North Snow imperial capital. Amidst the chaos, there were 2 figures traversing through the North Snow imperial capital. They had already killed many martial practitioners in the North Snow imperial capital. However, those martial practitioners weren't weak either. Their desperate counterattacks had caused the 2 of them to suffer some minor injuries. These 2 people were Xiao Xinghai and Yin Wenyao. These 2 people had entered the illusion world of the 5 emperors with Long Yu. However, they only reached the 15th level and could not become the personal disciple of the 5 emperors. They could only join the alliance of 5 emperors. Unexpectedly, they appeared in the camp of the 6 sects and 10 countries and slaughtered the martial cultivators of the North Snow imperial capital. I didn't expect to be injured by a few scums, Xiao Xinghai said unhappily. Now that he and Yin Wenyao were Middle Emperor realm experts and had the ability to challenge those who were stronger than them, they should be able to do whatever they wanted in a place like the North Snow imperial capital. However, the fact that a few early Emperor realm martial cultivators were able to injure Xiao Xinghai and Yin Wenyao was beyond his expectations. I wonder where Long Yu is now. Now that the Northern Snow Empire is facing such a calamity, if he is still alive, he will definitely appear. Yin Wenyao's eyes flickered with a hint of jealousy. In his mind, Long Yu's silhouette would always appear, becoming his nightmare, causing him to be unable to forget it. Now that they came to the Northern Snow Empire to slaughter the people of the North Snow Imperial capital, they wanted to get rid of this shadow. Otherwise, their progress in martial cultivation would be too slow. I think that Brad is long dead. I heard that the last time he appeared was when he went to the divine martial realm with the 5 emperors. Since then, he has never appeared again. Xiao Xinghai narrowed his eyes as he spoke, because he had found an excellent target to attack. Not far in front of him, there were 2 young and beautiful women. They were Qin Yashuang and Zi Su, who had followed Long Yu in the holy city of the 5 emperors. Now, Qin Yashuang and Zi Su were early emperor realm. Compared to Xiao Xinghai and Yin Wenyao, they seemed a bit weaker. Xiao Xinghai knew the relationship between Qin Yashuang and Zi Su and Long Yu. He thought that if he killed these 2 women now, he would not be jealous of that guy anymore. Go! Their figures flickered as they broke through the void and attacked Qin Yashuang and Zi Su in front of them. Qin Yashuang and Zi Su had just defeated an Emperor Realm team from the 6 sects and 10 nations. Then, they were ambushed by Xiao Xinghai and Yin Wenyao. They were caught off guard. For a moment, the 2 girls were ambushed. Each of them used their own defensive methods, but they were destroyed by Xiao Xinghai and Yin Wenyao, who came prepared. Then they were seriously injured, and their bodies were sent flying like kites with their strings cut. Kill! Xiao Xinghai and Yin Wenyao had no intention of showing mercy to the fairer sex. Their eyes were filled with boundless killing intent as they chased after them. They wanted to kill Qin Yashuang and Zi Su. However, it was also at this moment that the melodious sound of a flute suddenly entered Xiao Xinghai and Yin Wenyao's ears. The sound of the flute was like the demonic sound of death, causing their bodies to instantly tremble. All sorts of extremely terrifying illusions appeared before their eyes. Following the melodious sound of the flute, a beautiful figure walked out from the side. It was Fengyu Xin with the Sufferer's flute battle weapon. Fengyu Xin's martial realm had reached mid-emperor realm. Her improvement was godly. Most importantly, there was an unfathomable aura about her. Even Long Yu couldn't see through her. It's the aura of a sufferer. Could it be that Fengyu Xin has learned some techniques from the Sufferer's flute? Long Yu couldn't help but think. The Sufferer's Alliance was said to be an extremely powerful existence in beyond heavens. They could even be mentioned in the same breath as the entire human race. Juyo Dragon Emperor had imprisoned a member of the Sufferer's Alliance to refine pills for him. The Sufferer's Alliance must be extremely powerful. After all, they possessed the best pill refining techniques in the entire beyond heavens. Now, Fengyu Xin seemed to have obtained some battle techniques from the Sufferer's flute. No one knew if she had learned it from the Sufferer's flute or from somewhere else. Chapter 1052. As the sound of Fengyu Xin's flute spread throughout the entire Northern Snow Imperial City, the overall situation in the Imperial City became unfavorable to the 6 sects and 10 countries. This made the faces of the 12 one-star emperors, the remaining 2-star emperors, and Zhang Jing, the supreme sect leader of the 9 Suns sect, fall. It's almost time to act. There are no emperors in the entire Northern Snow Empire. If we act now, they will be defeated. Zhang Jing ordered. He led the 12 one-star emperors and charged toward Yuhanxin. To them, the only threat was Yuhanxin and the 3 one-star emperors in front of Yuhanxin. They were Yu Linfeng, Yu Xiaoyin, and Nalin Jun. The 3 personal disciples of the Red Emperor were all one-star emperors. As long as they got rid of them in Yuhanxin, they would be able to take down the Northern Snow Imperial City. Once they took down the Northern Snow Imperial City, there was nothing to be afraid of in the entire Northern Snow Empire. The 12 one-star emperors followed Zhang Jing and charged toward Yuhanxin. They were all emperor-level experts. Each of their aura was extremely strong, and they had a terrifying suppressive force on the entire northern snow imperial city. Even Fengyu Xion's flute could not affect these 13 people. The gap between their martial arts realms was too big. The absolute gap in strength could not be made up for by any means. After all, Fengyu Xion's martial arts realm was not very high. She was only at the middle stage Emperor realm. The gap between her and the Emperors was too big. Sixth junior sister, let's fight. I'll protect you. The young swordsman, Nailan Jun, curled up the corners of his mouth. He had an indistinct, confident smile on his face. Although he was only a one-star sovereign emperor, he had a special aura. He had obtained a special inheritance from an ancient remnant. His combat prowess was definitely much stronger than an ordinary one-star sovereign emperor's. Zhang Jing, I've been annoyed by you for a long time. Nailan Jun's entire body was surrounded by sword chi, and he rushed out. His whole body was like a sword light, instantly piercing through the air and blocked the two-star sovereign emperor Zhang Jing, who was rushing over. Countless sword chi surrounded him, forming a sword formation and enveloping Zhang Jing. Wuji's sword formation. The long sword in Nailan Jun's hand was magnificent. The Wuji sword formation swallowed Zhang Jing in an instant. What a joke. You're just a one-star emperor. Zhang Jing snorted coldly. Flames surged from his body. The purple flames carried an unparalleled temperature, burning the entire everlasting sword formation to ashes. The power of the flame divine characters was unleashed to the extreme in Zhang Jing's hands. However, Zhang Jing soon realized that the limitless sword formation that Nailan Jun cast actually clashed with his flame divine ability. Both sides were exhausted, and in the clash, his flame divine ability actually didn't gain any advantage. Wuji sword formation. What kind of technique is this? Zhang Jing's heart trembled. He finally realized that Nailan Jun's limitless sword formation seemed to be a sword technique that surpassed the ancient rank. This was most likely an archaic rank, or at least a transcendent rank martial skill. The entire Nine Suns sect didn't have an archaic level martial technique, let alone a supreme archaic level martial technique. Zhang Jing was shocked and overjoyed at the same time. It was obvious that if he could capture Nailan Jun alive, he would definitely be able to gain a lot of benefits from him. Of course, to capture Nailan Jun, who had learned a supreme archaic level sword technique, was still a little difficult for a two-star emperor like Zhang Jing. Therefore, Zhang Jing did not hesitate to call for backup. He asked 2 or 3 other emperors to help him. He wanted to capture Nailan Jun in one fell swoop. Even if the 3 one-star emperors left, there were still 9 one-star emperors left. It should be enough to deal with Yu Linfeng, Yu Shaoyin, and Yu Hanxin. 3 one-star emperors from the other 6 sects and 10 countries listened to Zhang Jing's command and rushed towards Nailan Jun. Nailan Jun immediately felt the pressure. But fortunately, the power of his limitless sword art was not bad, and he had already cultivated it to the transcendent realm after going to the 5-emperor fantasy world to cultivate, and all kinds of powerful sword techniques emerged one after another. So he was temporarily able to resist. Including Zhang Jing, there was 1 2-star emperor and 3 1-star emperors. Each of them continuously used their emperor's techniques to suppress Nailan Jun. They wanted to exhaust his energy and then suppress him. However, Nailan Jun was also a 1-star emperor. When faced with the joint attack of the opponents, Nailan Jun's whole body was surrounded by sword chi. It instantly formed a sword chi tower, covering his body to protect it. The sword chi tower was extremely tough. When faced with the joint attack of the 4 opponents, it was not broken immediately. Nailan Jun also got some time to breathe. On the other side, Yu Hanxin, Yu Linfeng, and Yu Shaoyin faced the 9 1-star emperors. I'll take the lead. Sister, you support me. Fatty Yu Linfeng revealed a wretched smile. He took the lead and rushed out. With Yu Hanxin behind him, a strong desire to protect her rose in his heart. 6th junior sister, Yu Hanxin, was the girl he fancied. Although Yu Hanxin was a demon cultivator, true love could not be stopped by race. You 9 old ghosts, have a taste of my giant halberd. Yu Linfeng's whole body was like a meatball. He rolled towards the 9 one-star emperors. Then, a giant halberd shadow appeared from his body and swept out. On the giant halberd shadow, there were several kinds of extremely mysterious divine characters. They merged and absorbed each other. Finally, they condensed into a strong, destructive force. As soon as it landed on the 9 one-star emperors, it produced a terrifying, destructive force. The giant halberd shadow was too big. The 9 one-star emperors were all shrouded in it. At this moment, the 9 people's expressions changed slightly. They joined forces to resist the giant halberd shadow. Divine characters of all attributes, defensive divine abilities, martial skills, all of them were unleashed, working together to block this giant halberd phantom. But at this moment, Yu Xiaoying's body appeared in the middle of the 9 people like a dancing butterfly. With a wave of illusory divine characters, the 9 people were all shrouded in it. The 9 one-star emperors were all affected at this moment. They could only use less than half of their strength. Old ghost, go to hell. Yu Linfeng didn't hesitate. He controlled the giant halberd shadow and smashed it towards one of the 1-star emperors. Once, twice, thrice. Under the influence of the jade flute's illusory divine runes, the 1-star Imperial Emperor Old Man could only barely cast a defensive divine ability. His Emperor Dao divine ability was not a defensive type, so he could only cast an Emperor Dao divine ability when a huge halberd shadow smashed down. How could a mere Emperor Path technique resist such a giant halberd shadow? The giant halberd shadow smashed down 3 times. Each time, it was stronger than the last. After 3 times, the 1-star emperor was smashed and blood spurted out of his mouth. His meridians were broken and his dantian was seriously injured. It seemed that he wouldn't be able to fight for a while. Just like that, one of the 9 1-star sovereign emperors died. However, the situation after that was not very good, because the remaining aura swept across the whole area and landed in the middle of the battle between Yu Xiaoying and the 4 1-star emperors. The battle at the level of emperor finally became evenly matched. Zhang Jing of the 6 sects and 10 countries wanted to lead his people to defeat Yuan Xin, but now his plan was completely ruined. He did not expect the North Snow Empire to have so many super powerful warriors. Why were all of them freaks who could fight beyond their realm? This wasn't right, but this was also one of the most important reasons why they wanted to attack the Northern Snow Empire. If they could control the cultivation resources of the Northern Snow Empire, the overall strength of the 6 sects and 10 countries would be greatly enhanced. The second batch of reinforcements of the 6 sects and 10 countries is coming. Everyone, hold on. Chapter 1053. Zhang Jing's shout made everyone from the 6 sects and 10 countries excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood. The 6 sects and 10 countries foundation wasn't just what they had shown so far. If all of them were joined forces, their strength would definitely be able to contend against the alliance of 5 emperors. If it wasn't for the existence of the forces from beyond the heavens, the 6 sects and 10 countries could have easily replaced the position of the alliance of 5 emperors. Because of this, the 6 sects and 10 countries dared to join forces and attack the Northern Snow Empire. Because this kind of thing wasn't something the alliance of 5 emperors could do. Even if the 5 emperors wanted to interfere, they had to consider the bigger picture. If they were to really go all out against the 6 sects and 10 countries, the ones who would suffer would still be the normal beings of Shenwu world. Moreover, the current situation of the 5 emperors wasn't very good, because only the 5 emperors faintly knew what was happening in the 9 Serenities realm. The overall situation in the Netherworld realm had changed greatly. The existences at the level of the 5 emperors had sensed some clues. Because of this, they didn't have enough energy to deal with the collective operation of the 6 sects and 10 countries. And Zhang Jing's shout was like a bolt from the blue to the people of the Northern Snow Empire. Right now, the enemy's strength was already on par with the overall strength of the Northern Snow Empire. If the reinforcements of the 6 sects and 10 countries arrive, then the Northern Snow Empire might not be able to hold on. If Big Brother and Second Brother were here, then we wouldn't be in such a passive position. While helping Ian of the Jade Flute fight against the 4-1-star Emperor, Yuhanshin flapped her crystal-like ice wings and flew around the battlefield, using Ice God runes to harass the 4-1-star Emperor, creating a better opportunity for Ian of the Jade Flute to attack. As soon as they thought of Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian, Yuhanshin and the others were in a bad mood. Because even now, they still didn't know where Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian had gone. Could it be that they were really killed by the resurrected souls of those giant beasts in the Dark Moon catastrophe? Although the possibility of this was very low, Yuhanshin and the others could not think of any other possibility apart from this. The battle continued to be a stalemate. The Battle of the Emperor's Level was intense in the sky above the North Snow capital. In the North Snow capital, the situation was getting better with the help of Fengyu Xian's soul-urging flute. More than half of the thousands of people who had invaded the North Snow capital had fallen. The remaining people had all flown up again and gathered in the sky above the North Snow capital. They seemed to be preparing to regroup, first to avoid losing more people. However, the other people on both sides could not intervene in the battle between the Emperor level. Almost everyone was paying attention to the battle between the Emperor level. Many people in the North Snow Empire were worried for Yuhanshin and the others. There was no doubt that the overall strength of the Northern Snow Empire was too strong. Now that the 6 sects and 10 countries had joined forces, they still couldn't suppress the Northern Snow Empire in terms of high-end combat power. If they were to fight against one of the 6 sects and 10 countries individually, the overall strength of the Northern Snow Empire would definitely be enough to destroy them. Unfortunately, the other party was the 6 sects and 10 countries. It was already not easy for the Northern Snow Empire to resist for the time being. Not to mention that the support of the 6 sects and 10 countries was still coming. Hearing Zhang Jing shout, most people in the North Snow capital were shocked. When the support of the 6 sects and 10 countries arrived, would the Northern Snow Empire really be destroyed? It was not easy for the Northern Snow Empire to have such rapid development. In the end, it attracted the attack of the 6 sects and 10 countries. Such a powerful alliance, many people were already thinking of a way out. If the Northern Snow Empire was destroyed, where would they go? They didn't have much time to think, because after half an hour, a group of thousands of people, at least at the King's Path secret realm, suddenly appeared from the void. With an extremely powerful aura, they landed in the sky above the North Snow capital. This group of thousands of people, of course, was also the experts of the 6 sects and 10 countries. From their clothes, it could be seen that there were 16 different forces and 16 different kinds of clothes, which was quite eye-catching. Among them, besides a large group of experts of the King's Path secret realm, there were also many people at the Emperor level. There were 9 one-star emperors in total. As soon as they appeared, they separated from the crowd and flew toward the battlefield of Emperor level above the North Snow capital. These 2 groups of thousands of experts were almost more than half of the strength of the 6 sects and 10 countries. Being able to send so many people to deal with the Northern Snow Empire, it showed the determination of the 6 sects and 10 countries in this alliance. The 9 one-star emperors were about to join the battlefield. 3 of them went to help Zhang Jing. They wanted to capture the young swordsman Nalanjun and Mo Zhaitian together with Zhang Jing and the other 3. The other 3 flew to the battlefield where Yu Linfeng and Gu Yixin were and wanted to join the original 4 one-star emperors. The remaining 3 prepared to deal with the 2 girls, Yu Hanxin and Yu Xiaoying. If they successfully joined the battlefield, basically in less than half an hour, the Northern Snow Empire would definitely be defeated immediately. This moment was related to the survival of the Northern Snow Empire. At this time, all the forces of the Northern Snow Empire had basically been displayed. It was basically impossible to stop the 9 one-star emperors. In the North Snow Empire, everyone's face became a little pale. Was there no hope for the Northern Snow Empire? Many people were thinking of asking the alliance of 5 emperors to come and help. After all, this kind of thing was quite a threat to the ruling power of the alliance of 5 emperors. If the Northern Snow Empire was defeated by the 6 sects and 10 countries, the overall strength of the 6 sects and 10 countries would be greatly increased, which was enough to threaten the status of the alliance of 5 emperors. But no matter what, the alliance of 5 emperors did not come, not even a single one. No one knew what was going on. In the battlefield, Yuan Xin and the others of the Northern Snow Empire could not hold on any longer. Even Yuan Xin, Nailan Jun, Gu Yixian, and Emo Zhaiqian, who were all persisting in the battle, could not help but show a sad look on their faces. If there is no other way, we can only let Shu Chan and the other 2 temporarily protect the Northern Snow Empire. Yuan Xin said in a low voice. But that way, if they go to the other cities of the Northern Snow Empire and carry out a massacre, we won't be able to do anything. Yu Xiaoying's expression was very ugly. But if we die, the Northern Snow Empire will truly be finished. At least for now, we can't die, and we can't let them catch us. Yuan Xin shook her head. At that crucial moment, even if she had to sacrifice the people of the Northern Snow Empire, she had no choice but to make this choice. Although the 3 palaces of Shu Chan and the other 2 could release an extremely powerful defensive formation, it could only hold off the enemy for a while, not forever. Furthermore, the energy within the 3 palaces was not infinite. Once the soaring dragon of 9 underworlds formation was activated in the Northern Snow Empire, it would not be able to be activated anywhere else. Although the 3 palaces combined were powerful and almost unbreakable in Shenwu world, they could not protect the entire Northern Snow Empire. Everyone's hearts were shrouded in a shadow. In the sky, the 3 palaces and the 3 2-star emperors were still locked in a stalemate, ready to release the soaring dragon of 9 underworlds formation at any time to keep the people of the 6 sects and 10 countries out of the Northern Snow Empire. I'd like to see what other hidden powers you have up your sleeves in the sky. The old man from the Taiwu Empire, Taiwu Abyss, laughed out loud. He could almost see the victory of the 6 sects and 10 countries. After this battle, the overall strength of the 6 sects and 10 countries would greatly increase, and their martial realm and strength would finally have the chance to improve further. Not only Taiwu Abyss of the Taiwu Empire, the other martial cultivators from the 6 sects and 10 countries were all happy. The supreme sect leader of the Water Moon Sword sect, the beautiful woman Shui Yuqing Xia, the burly man from the crazed Immortal Empire, Yuan Qingtian, and the supreme sect leader of the 9 Sun sect, Zhang Jing, were all confident. The outcome of the battle would finally be decided at this moment. However, at this crucial moment, when the 9 1-star Emperor reinforcements were about to reach the original battlefield of the Emperor, an accident suddenly occurred. A huge and ghastly white skeletal arm suddenly pierced through space, and it carried the terrifying and ghastly energy of the 9th Hell Divine characters as it grabbed 4 1-star Imperial Monarchs with a single grab. Immediately after, the bony arm squeezed, and the terrifying power directly crushed the 4 1-star Emperors into pieces. The 4 1-star Emperors, under the bony arm, did not even have the slightest ability to resist, and were instantly killed. Not to mention their dantians, many-worlds, meridians, even their entire bodies, were completely corroded by the 9 underworlds divine characters, leaving not a single trace in this world. The aura of the 9 underworlds divine characters gradually spread from the huge bony arm to the whole area, and many people suddenly realized something. This unexpected event caused those 5 1-star Imperial Monarchs that had arrived as reinforcements to be horrified, and they were simply terrified out of their wits. They were just a little bit away from suffering the pain of those 4 1-star Imperial Monarchs and being crushed into powder by such an enormous arm of bones. Moreover, the most important thing was that they had no idea what method this was and who it was from. They just vaguely felt that the bony arm was a little familiar, as if they had seen it somewhere before. Of course, the bony arm that they had seen before was obviously not as powerful as this one. Only those in the Northern Snow Empire who were familiar with Long Yu suddenly realized that this huge bony arm was one of Long Yu's innate magical powers, the Hand of 9 Underworlds. Is Long Yu back? Yu Hanqin's face was full of joy, and she immediately used her detection magical powers to search for traces of Long Yu. She was almost sure that this bony arm definitely belonged to Long Yu, although she did not know why Long Yu had such a terrifying strength. According to Long Yu's martial arts talent, after such a long time, no matter what level he had reached, it was not a surprise. Long Yu, those people from the 6 sects and 10 countries all looked at each other. How could it be this guy? Hadn't they not seen this guy for a long time? And even if this guy appeared again, how could he become so terrifying? Chapter 10:54. As the giant skeletal arm reached out from the void and crushed the 4 one-star emperor, everyone was shocked. The martial cultivators of the Northern Snow Empire were all surprised. Although most of them didn't know who did this, it was obvious that the skeletal arm was dealing with the people of the 6 sects and 10 countries. Could it be the people of the Alliance of 5 Emperors? In the entire Shinwu world, only the experts of the Alliance of 5 Emperors could have such terrifying power. That was what many people were thinking. Only those who were close to Long Yu could tell that the skeletal arm was one of Long Yu's innate magical power, the Hand of 9 Serenities. However, the power of the Hand of 9 Serenities was much stronger than the Hand of 9 Serenities that they had seen before. It was hundreds of times stronger. 4 one-star sovereign emperors were instantly killed. The remaining 5 sovereign emperors stopped moving. They all showed nervous expressions as they looked at their surroundings in horror. Finally, they saw a figure that they seemed to have seen before slowly stepping out from the void in front of them. The huge white bone arm in the space approached that figure. Clearly, it was being controlled by that figure. Long Yu. It really was Long Yu. When the figure appeared, the people of the 6 sects and 10 countries were shocked, especially Zhang Jing, Shui Weqing Xia, Yuan Qingtian, and the 4 two-star emperors of Taiwu Abyss. They opened their eyes wide in disbelief. They were 2-star emperors, and they had the highest martial arts realm among the people present. They could clearly feel the endless destructive power contained in the skeletal arm. Not to mention the 4 one-star emperors. Even if they were attacked by the skeletal arm, they would be killed in an instant. There was no suspense. Long Yu, the genius young man in the past, had such terrifying power after not seeing him for such a long time. He's just a mere Long Yu. Even if he used to be the first Emperor Realm cultivator, what can he do now? Yuan Qingtan, the burly man from the crazed Immortal Empire, snorted coldly after recovering from his astonishment. That skeletal arm of yours is one of your innate magical powers. Although you've killed 4 of our experts in an instant, it's only because of the convenience of a sneak attack. In a head-on battle, it might not have such overwhelming power. I like to see if you can still launch a thunderous attack like that. The burly man, Yuan Qingtian, held a giant shield in his hand. After letting out a loud roar, his entire body was enveloped in the glow of earthy, yellow, divine runes. Like a cannonball, he charged towards Long Yu. Long Yu, be careful. Many people, including Yu Hanxin and Yu Xiaoyin, couldn't help but exclaim. Although they saw Long Yu kill 4 one-star emperors with a single move, they still didn't know Long Yu's real strength. Therefore, they were naturally worried. After all, Yuan Qingtian was the strongest expert in the crazed Immortal Empire, one of the 6 sects and 10 countries. He had reached the level of a 2-star emperor. As for Long Yu, they could tell that his martial arts realm was only at the peak of the Emperor realm. It would definitely not be easy for him to fight against Yuan Qingtian. Perhaps he really relied on a surprise attack to launch that move just now. After all, Long Yu had always been good at sneak attacks and assassinations. Yu Hanxin and the others were already very familiar with this method. You're quite bold. Seeing that Yuan Qingtian had turned into a shield and was charging towards him, Long Yu couldn't help but smile. He had thought that the Hand of 9 Nether would be able to intimidate the situation in one fell swoop. He didn't expect that there was still a guy who overestimated himself. In that case, Long Yu opened his mouth slightly. Divine runes of 9 Nether gathered in his mouth, and soon formed a pitch-black light beam of dragon breath of 9 Nether. Without giving Yuan Qingtian any time to react, Yuan Qingtian directly shot it out. Yuan Qingtian's speed towards Long Yu was already so fast that it was hard to see with the naked eye. Now, Long Yu's light beam of Dragon Breath of Nine Nether was even faster, leaving Yuan Qingtian no time to dodge. Relying on his ancient level shield, Yuan Qingtian wanted to fight against Long Yu head-on. However, when he sensed the almost invincible power contained in Long Yu's Dragon Breath of Nine Nether, he immediately turned pale with fright. Boom! The pitch-black light beam of Dragon Breath of Nine Nether instantly shrouded Yuan Qingtian and his ancient level shield. The tyrannical destructive power was enough to annihilate Yuan Qingtian completely. In the face of Long Yu's most destructive innate mystique, Dragon Breath of Nine Nether, Yuan Qingtian had no ability to resist at all and was absolutely crushed. At the critical moment, Yuan Qingtian made the most correct response. He expanded the shield in his hand and blocked the Dragon Breath of Nine Nether for a moment. That moment alone was enough for Yuan Qingtian to escape. Without any hesitation, he broke through the space and teleported thousands of miles away with the help of a space jade combat weapon at his waist, disappearing from where he was. Yuan Qingtian's successful escape made the rest of the people from the 6 sects and 10 countries heave a sigh of relief. Although Long Yu had displayed a power that they couldn't match, they still had a chance to escape. Now that they had a way out, they wouldn't be so desperate anymore. However, something that made them despair soon happened. Trying to escape? Long Yu narrowed his eyes and easily sensed the place where Yuan Qingtian teleported to. With a raise of his hand, boundless world energy gathered in his hand and strengthened his body, causing his strength to skyrocket again. Hand of Nine Nether, grab him back. Long Yu constructed a special space passage and performed Hand of Nine Nether. The bony arm passed through the special space passage and grabbed Yuan Qingtian, who had teleported thousands of miles away. Then, Long Yu performed Hand of Nine Nether and grabbed Yuan Qingtian back. In the realm of Nine Nether, Long Yu was equivalent to a deity, not to mention a mere 2-star emperor. Even existences in the ruler's secret realm, or even great rulers would find it hard to compete with Long Yu in the realm of Nine Nether. Die! Long Yu said faintly and exerted force with his bony arm. The divine characters of Nine Nether corroded Yuan Qingtian's strong body in an instant, and he was completely annihilated into invisible dust between heaven and earth. The entire arena turned silent. When Long Yu reappeared and displayed his absolute strength, the battle had already ended. Furthermore, it had ended like a farce. What could the 6 sects and 10 countries do in the face of Long Yu, who had such terrifying strength? A 2-star emperor, even if he escaped thousands of miles away, was caught by Long Yu and crushed to death. Under such circumstances, what else could the 6 sects and 10 countries do to compete with Long Yu? Long Yu, what realm are you in now? The retired emperor from the Taiwu Empire, the elderly Taiwu Abyss, was also startled. He asked Long Yu with a gloomy face. Anyway, it was impossible to fight against Long Yu. Since it was impossible to escape like Yuan Qingtian, Taiwu Abyss, of course, had to try other ways to deal with Long Yu. Taiwu Abyss was certainly unwilling to let Taiwu Abyss die like this. After all, he was a retired emperor of the Taiwu Empire. He had great power and enjoyed an extremely good life. He was probably second only to the 5 emperors. Therefore, Taiwu Abyss wanted to talk to Long Yu and find out some things. At the same time, he tried to make connections and beg for mercy. Unfortunately, Long Yu was a vengeful person. Long Yu glanced at Taiwu Abyss and thought of the first time he saw Taiwu Abyss. It was before the 5 emperors' illusory world started. Taiwu Abyss came to recruit him, but was rejected. Then, Taiwu Abyss threatened him. Then, after the 5 emperors' illusory world, someone hired assassins from the Dark Shadow Pavilion to assassinate Long Yu. But because Long Yu brought the Tianxiang Emperor with him, he survived. Long Yu was still very curious about who hired assassins to assassinate him. The Tianxiang Emperor did not have enough ability to deduce at that time. But now, if Long Yu were to deduce, he would definitely be able to find the answer to this question easily. Deduction power. Power of the world. Support. The corners of Long Yu's mouth curled up slightly, and he immediately began to deduce with the power of deduction. Infinite power of deduction condensed on top of the old man's head. A scene from a long time ago emerged above his head. It was the scene of the old man and the Dark Shadow Pavilion's pavilion master talking. Not only was it displayed, but it was also very clear. This was the tyrannical power of deduction that Long Yu had under the support of the power of the world. It really is you. You hired the Dark Shadow Pavilion assassins to take my life. Unfortunately, my life is very long. Long Yu laughed. If it was the assassins hired by Taiwu Abyss, it was normal for the Tianxiang Emperor to be unable to deduce it. This was because Taiwu Abyss was at the level of a 2-star emperor, and the Tianxiang Emperor was only at the peak of the Emperor realm. He was not even a 1-star emperor. Naturally, it was impossible for him to deduce anything related to Taiwu Abyss. As soon as the scene appeared, Taiwu Abyss's face turned black. He originally wanted to talk to Long Yu and try to save his life, but he did not expect that even this kind of thing would be dug out by Long Yu. In this way, how could Long Yu spare his life? If that's the case, Long Yu saw the situation clearly. At that time, it was Taiwu Abyss who hired the Dark Shadow Pavilion assassins to kill him. Since that was the case, Long Yu had no more concerns. Moreover, the other party had led a team to massacre the entire North Snow Imperial City. With such an act, Long Yu could not find any reason not to kill the other party. Nine Nether Hunter, I'll leave it to you. Long Yu directly summoned a 9 Nether Hunter. A black shadow holding 2 scimitars appeared beside him. Then, in a flash, it appeared next to Taiwu Abyss. Originally, Taiwu Abyss was already very vigilant against Long Yu's attack. However, the 9 Nether Hunter's speed was too fast. Moreover, it slashed down with a heart blade, instantly causing Taiwu Abyss to fall into an illusion. Then, with a wave of the real blade, Taiwu Abyss was completely beheaded without any resistance. Chapter 1055. Taiwu Abyss was crushed and killed by Long Yu with absolute strength. There were only 2 2-star emperors left, Shueiyue Qingxia, the beautiful woman from Shueiyue Sword Sect, and Zhang Jing, the supreme sect master from Nine Sun Sect. Both of them were the strongest experts of their respective sections. But now, after seeing Taiwu Abyss and Yuan Qingtian being crushed and killed by Long Yu with absolute strength, their expressions changed drastically. They no longer had the slightest intention to deal with the Northern Snow Empire, let alone fight against Long Yu. Long Yu, I was wrong. Please spare me. In the future, I will represent the entire Shueiyue Sword Sect and will no longer offend your Northern Snow Empire. I will also provide half of the cultivation resources stored in the entire Shueiyue Sword Sect as compensation. Shueiyue Qingxia looked pitiful and begged for mercy while looking at Long Yu. Because from what happened to Yuan, Qingtian, and Taiwu Abyss, how could she not understand that there was a huge gap between her and Long Yu? Although she did not know why Long Yu, who was only at the peak of Emperor Realm, had such powerful strength, she had to bow her head to Long Yu. Long Yu, me too. I'm willing to offer 60% of the cultivation resources of Nine Sun Sect to you. Zhang Jing hurriedly nodded and said. He was also extremely afraid of death and did not want to follow in the footsteps of Taiwu Abyss and Yuan Qingtian. At this moment, bowing his head was no longer important. The most important thing was to save his life. Long Yu narrowed his eyes slightly and pondered for a while. If he wanted to kill these 2 people, he could kill them at any time. For Long Yu, as long as they were still in the realm of 9 serenities, they were just like 2 ants to Long Yu. Therefore, it made no difference to Long Yu whether they were killed or not. As for Taiwu Abyss and Yuan Qingtian, they had to be killed. Firstly, Taiwu Abyss had hired an assassin organization to kill Long Yu. This old man must not be let off. Secondly, Yuan Qingtian took the initiative to launch an attack on Long Yu. It just so happened that Long Yu could use Yuan Qingtian to deter everyone present. As for Shui Wei Qingxia and Zhang Jing, there was no need to kill them. If I keep them alive, they may pose some hidden threat to the Northern Snow Empire in the future. But it doesn't matter. The Nine Serenities' heavenly stairs is about to be built. The Northern Snow Empire will naturally benefit the most. Their overall strength will be further improved. Even experts at the Emperor level will continue to emerge. Long Yu thought, if I keep them alive, Shui Wei, Qingxia, and Zhang, they have a Nine Serenities Empire and Jin, I Serenities, I, and martial wills. Even if they have bad intentions, I'll just treat it as an experience for the people of the Northern Snow Empire. Everyone viewed their lives as precious treasures, and they didn't want to inexplicably lose their little lives. As for the Nine Serenities' heavenly stairway and qualification mentioned by Long Yu, the people of the 6 sects and 10 countries had no idea what they meant, and they had no time to think about it now. As for the people of the Northern Snow Empire, including Yu Hanxin and Shi Yingwu, they were quite curious about the Nine Serenities' heavenly stairway. After a bit of explanation, Long Yu quickly told Yu Hanxin and the others about the Nine Serenities' heavenly stairway, then told Yu Hanxin and the others to inform the other martial cultivators of the Northern Snow Empire. The martial cultivators of the Northern Snow Empire all received this news within a few hours. At the same time, they also received news that Long Yu wanted to abolish the alliance of 5 emperors and directly use the Nine Serenities' heavenly stairway to govern the entire Shunwu world. Long Yu's plan shocked everyone in the Northern Snow Empire. Even Yu Hanxin, Shi Yingwu, Shu Chan, and the others didn't think that the current Long Yu had become this powerful, becoming the Lord of 9 Serenities. What had happened in the 9 Serenities realm recently? To be honest, even Long Yu himself didn't know where the 9 Nether realm was located in the Beyond the Heavens world. Therefore, he didn't tell anyone about the specifics. He only told them that he was the current Lord of the 9 Nether realm and was able to rule over the entire 9 Nether realm. He also said that he would construct the 9 Nether heavenly stairway to help everyone rapidly increase their cultivation. The 9 Serenities heavenly stairway had a total of 100 steps. In the space of the first step, the speed of cultivation would increase by 200 times. In the second step, the speed of cultivation would increase by 400 times. In the third step, the speed of cultivation would increase by 600 times. All the way to the 100th step, the speed of cultivation would increase by 20,000 times. As for the specific rules of the 9 Serenities heavenly stairway, Long Yu also explained clearly to Yu Hanxin and the others. Anyone who wanted to enter each step of the 9 Serenities heavenly stairway must have a pass token for that step. The pass token could be obtained through another magic formation that Long Yu was about to create. That magic formation was similar to the fantasy realm of the 5 emperors. The practitioners who entered it would be like entering the fantasy realm of the 5 emperors. They would have thousands of parallel spaces, which would speed up the comprehension and cultivation of martial arts. Since Long Yu wanted to flatten the entire sacred tower, he naturally couldn't leave the fantasy realm of the 5 emperors intact. Now that he was the Lord of 9 Serenities, he could totally build a higher level existence that had the same function as the fantasy realm of the 5 emperors. He called this magic formation the parallel barrier. The entire parallel barrier was also divided into 100 layers. Passing through each layer would grant a pass token for the 9 Serenities heavenly stairway. Most importantly, the parallel barrier wouldn't have any entry restrictions. In other words, any martial cultivator of Shunwu world who wanted to enter the parallel barrier would be able to, unlike the fantasy realm of the 5 emperors, which only opens once a month and only a few people can enter. Because of that, Long Yu's decision to abolish the alliance of 5 emperors would definitely gain the support of the entire Shunwu world's martial cultivators. Because what replaced it would be a system that would benefit the entire Shunwu world, allowing everyone to quickly increase their martial arts realm and skill level. The 9 Serenities heavenly stairway will be built on the original holy city of the 5 emperors, replacing the sacred tower. As for the parallel barrier, it will be built on top of 100 of them, allowing everyone in Shunwu World to have a chance to enter and train, as well as obtain a pass token for the Nine Serenities Heavenly Stairway. Long Yu continued to explain. Long Yu, since you've said that, it means that you'll definitely be able to do this. However, Yu Hanshin was still a bit worried about Long Yu's plan. Although you're now the Lord of Nine Serenities, the Nine Serenities world's spirit essence isn't limitless, right? If you do this, how long will the Nine Serenities world's spirit essence be able to last? I'll tell you the truth. 1 year, Long Yu's expression became a bit serious. Don't tell anyone about this for now. The entire Nine Serenities world is actually very dangerous right now. Shinwu world only has 1 year left. After that, the destructive power of the Death Star Vortex will arrive here and kill every living being here. You're the Lord of Nine Serenities. Can't you stop the destructive power of the spirit essence from reaching here? Man Xin was a simple-minded person, so he casually asked. I really can't, because that portion of the destructive power of the spirit essence has already left the Nine Serenities world due to the space vortex. It's no longer a part of the Nine Serenities world and is no longer under my control, Long Yu said in bewilderment. So be it. With the existence of the parallel barrier and the Nine Serenities Heavenly Stairway, everyone's martial realm will definitely improve greatly in this 1 year. Shi Yingwu thought for a bit on the side, then said, 1 year later, I hope that we'll all be able to grow to the point where we can go to the world beyond with Big Brother Long. That's right, everyone, do your best. Chapter 1056. Due to the lack of time, Long Yu didn't stay too long in the Northern Snow Empire. Instead, he met up with everyone and explained the situation, then went straight to the center of Shunwu World, the Five Emperors' Holy City. After arriving at the Five Emperors' Holy City, Long Yu finally understood why the Alliance of Five Emperors didn't show up despite the huge incident that happened in the Northern Snow Empire. It turned out that an important meeting was taking place in the Five Emperors' Holy City. This meeting was attended by the Five Emperors, as well as some important figures from the 6 sects and 10 countries. It was mainly initiated by the 6 sects and 10 countries. Long Yu knew that this was the 6 sects and 10 countries trying to mislead and divert the Five Emperors' attention so that the Five Emperors wouldn't be able to take care of the situation in the Northern Snow Empire. By the time the Five Emperors reacted, the situation in the Northern Snow Empire would already be a foregone conclusion. The Five Emperors wouldn't be able to change the situation there. At that time, the Alliance of Five Emperors wouldn't be able to do anything to the 6 sects and 10 countries. Otherwise, if the flames of war were to be ignited, it wouldn't benefit the Alliance of Five Emperors at all. During the meeting between the Five Emperors and the 6 sects and 10 countries, the things that were discussed were, of course, random nonsense from the 6 sects and 10 countries. Most of it was nonsense, and nothing important was discussed. In the meeting hall of the Sacred Tower, the 5 Emperors, the 12 cabinet elders of the Alliance of Five Emperors, plus 2 one-star emperor representatives from each of the 6 sects and 10 countries were discussing about the extermination of the exotic beast nests. This place belonged to the one-star emperor of the 6 sects and 10 countries, which was about half of the 6 sects and 10 countries' forces. The other half had gone to the Northern Snow Empire to take control of the entire Northern Snow Empire and obtain the secret of the Northern Snow Empire's recent rise. Just as they were having a lively discussion, Long Yu's black-clothed figure suddenly appeared in the conference hall of the Sacred Tower. The appearance of Long Yu immediately caused the entire meeting hall to become completely silent. Everyone present was at least a one-star emperor. None of them were weak. How could they not notice that someone had appeared in the meeting hall? In fact, before Long Yu had even appeared, they had already realized that something was wrong when they sensed the fluctuations of the spatial divine characters. However, they were unable to stop Long Yu's arrival. In reality, if Long Yu wanted to hide himself, these people wouldn't have been able to find him. But there was no need for him to do so right now. He was already the absolute ruler of Shunwu World. After all, the entire Nine Serenities realm was already his own mini-world, It was just that he lacked the comprehension of the power of creation and couldn't fully control it. He could only change, not create anything. Long Yu's sudden appearance shocked all the 30-plus people present. Long Yu, why are you here? The first to react were, of course, the 5 emperors, the ones with the highest cultivation. Among them, Lay Emperor and Flame Emperor had a good relationship with Long Yu, so they were the first to ask questions with a doubtful tone. The Sacred Tower was the most heavily guarded place in the entire Shunwu world. How could Long Yu suddenly appear in the Sacred Tower's meeting hall? Furthermore, even the 5 emperors didn't have a chance to react before Long Yu had already entered. No one here had the ability to do so, not even the 5 emperors. A peak emperor realm cultivation, so it's Long Yu. Everyone present frowned in disgust. They didn't understand why Long Yu suddenly appeared. I'm here to abolish the alliance of 5 emperors, destroy the Sacred Tower, and then build my own system. Long Yu faced everyone expressionlessly and said, right now, I don't want to kill anyone. So I'd like to trouble the 5 emperors to give an order for everyone in the Sacred Tower to leave the Sacred Tower to Long Yu. The alliance of 5 emperors wasn't an enemy, so Long Yu didn't want to hurt the innocent. In fact, if he wanted to do whatever he wanted, the entire Sacred Tower would have already been destroyed, not even leaving a trace. And Long Yu's words caused a huge commotion in the meeting hall. Long Yu, what's wrong with you? Lay Emperor and Emperor Yin were both puzzled. Not to mention whether Long Yu had the ability to abolish the alliance of 5 emperors and destroy the Sacred Tower. Even if he did, wasn't he afraid that someone from beyond the heavens would take revenge on him? Alright, recently, the realm of 9 serenities didn't seem to be very peaceful. Could it be that something big had happened? Lay Emperor and Emperor Yin suddenly thought of something, then looked at each other and saw the doubt and worry in each other's eyes. Obviously, they knew that Long Yu wouldn't come to cause trouble for no reason. The only possibility was that Long Yu was serious. To abolish the alliance of 5 emperors, destroy the Sacred Tower, and create his own system. Could it be that the entire realm of 9 serenities, this small world, had already changed owners? The 5 emperors almost thought of this possibility at the same time. After all, they were the 5 emperors. They knew the most about the truth of the realm of 9 serenities, so they were more able to speculate the truth. In contrast, the cabinet elders of the alliance of 5 emperors, as well as the 1-star emperor powerhouses of the 6 sects and 10 countries, couldn't tolerate Long Yu's words at all. What a joke. Abolish the alliance of 5 emperors and destroy the Sacred Tower. Who do you think you are? A cabinet elder of the alliance of 5 emperors snorted and said. The way he looked at Long Yu was not polite at all. Long Yu, if you have something to say, we can talk it out. What's going on? Among the cabinet elders, there were some who were on good terms with Long Yu. For example, the Heavenly Fragrance Emperor, who had recently stepped into the 1-star emperor level. There was also the burly man Zhu Tian, the Spirit Formation Master Su Chun, and Tan Xiuya. Zhu Tian, Su Chun, and Tan Xiuya had plotted with Long Yu to get rid of the Battle Emperor, so they were on good terms with Long Yu. As for the Heavenly Fragrance Emperor, he had always maintained a good relationship with Long Yu and had even protected Long Yu's life. Otherwise, Long Yu would have long been killed by the Dark Shadow Pavilion's assassin organization hired by the Taiwu Abyss. Long Yu wanted to explain to these 4 people, but unfortunately, the others didn't give him the chance. Without waiting for Long Yu to reply, a Grand Elder from the 9 Sun sect, who had the martial arts realm of a 1-star emperor, leaped into the air and displayed a terrifying emperor mystique towards Long Yu. Boundless purple lightning condensed into a lightning sword chi that rumbled towards Long Yu. This old man wanted to use action to put an end to this farce. Although he didn't know how Long Yu was able to enter this place and speak nonsense. When he saw that Long Yu's cultivation was only at the peak of the Emperor realm, he didn't hesitate and immediately launched an attack. This person's attack really caught everyone off guard. The 5 emperors, the Heavenly Fragrance Emperor, and the others didn't expect someone to suddenly attack. They couldn't stop him in time and were instantly shocked. Long Yu, watch out, shouted a few scattered voices. Among them were the Lay Emperor, the Flame Emperor, the heavenly fragrance emperor, Su Chun, Ju Tian, and the others. However, Long Yu wasn't afraid in the slightest. He casually raised his hand, and the endless grade weapon, the dragon blood sacred painting, appeared. Dragon blood heavenly shield. Long Yu shouted, and a blood-red heavenly shield floated out of the dragon blood sacred painting and appeared in front of Long Yu, blocking the violet lightning sword chi. Brat, you're courting death. The one-star emperor from the Nine Suns sect snorted coldly. He didn't think that Long Yu could block his emperor mystique. This was his strongest move, and in order to prevent any accidents, he had already used his strongest move. The old man had been very confident in his violet lightning sword chi, but it didn't take long for his confidence to be destroyed. In front of the dragon blood heavenly shield, the purple lightning sword chi was easily blocked. The blood-red shield wasn't damaged by the purple lightning sword chi at all, and the purple lightning sword chi was completely annihilated. What? The old man was shocked. He knew that things were bad, but it was too late. Hand of the Nine Serenities. Long Yu raised his hand, and killing intent flashed in his eyes. World energy bolstered him, and a skeletal arm appeared in the air above the meeting hall. With lightning speed, it grabbed the old man, and then it was crushed. Even the one-star emperor couldn't withstand Long Yu's attack, and was killed in one move. The reason why Long Yu did this was, of course, to establish his prestige. Although he was the king of the Nine Serenities, and the entire Nine Serenities realm was under his control, not many people knew about this. Therefore, if he wanted to abolish the alliance of 5 emperors and destroy the sacred tower, Long Yu had to use some means to deter others. One-star emperor killed in one move, and the skeletal arm that appeared in the air was still in the meeting hall. After crushing the old man, it returned to Long Yu's side, exuding an incomparably awe-inspiring aura. 6 sects and 10 nations. Why don't you listen to me a bit more? Long Yu glanced at everyone who was completely shocked, and then said, 6 sects and 10 nations. Gather your men and head to the Northern Snow Empire. You want to destroy the Northern Snow Empire and kill the people of the Northern Snow Empire. I'm afraid you don't know that the people who attacked the Northern Snow Empire have already suffered great losses and returned without any achievements, right? As soon as these words came out, the faces of the people of the 6 sects and 10 nations changed. They all knew the importance of this operation. If they succeeded, they would get the secret of the rapid development of the Northern Snow Empire during this period of time, and thus increase their overall power. But if they failed, the alliance of 5 emperors would never miss the opportunity to beat them when they were down. The 6 sects and 10 nations, compared to the alliance of 5 emperors, were sometimes quite troublesome. Now, Long Yu told them that their operation to attack the Northern Snow Empire had failed. This was undoubtedly a huge blow to them. If Long Yu said this as soon as he appeared, these people probably wouldn't believe him. But Long Yu said these words after killing a 1-star emperor of the Nine Suns sect. Chapter 1057. The people of the 6 sects and 10 countries would rather believe that it was true than not. As for the people of the alliance of 5 emperors, they all looked at each other. The 6 sects and 10 countries had joined forces to attack the Northern Snow Empire. The 6 sects and 10 countries were really audacious. The 6 sects and 10 countries really did such a thing. Lei Emperor's expression became solemn as he looked at the people of the 6 sects and 10 countries. No wonder Long Yu had become so angry and said that he would abolish the alliance of 5 emperors. Now it seemed that the people of the 6 sects and 10 countries had completely angered Long Yu. Now, the 5 emperors and the others still did not know what changes had happened to Long Yu. They only knew that Long Yu had the strength to kill anyone here. Everyone knew that Long Yu was the strongest martial cultivator of the Emperor Realm 2 years ago. Now that Long Yu had stepped into the peak of the Emperor Realm, it was normal for him to be able to kill a 1-star emperor and a 2-star emperor. Lei Emperor and Emperor Yin both thought that Long Yu was joking when he said that he would abolish the alliance of 5 emperors. But they soon realized that they were wrong. Crazy immortal empire. Yuan Qingtian is dead. Taiwu Empire. Taiwu Yuan is dead. Shui Wei Qingxia of the Shui West Sword Sect and Zhang Jing of the Zhejiang Sect. I spare their lives and ask them to come back. Long Yu continued. These words caused the expressions of the two one-star sovereign emperors from the crazed immortal empire and the extreme martial empire to change. Soon, their faces turned red, but they did not dare to say anything. If what Long Yu said was true, it meant that Long Yu now definitely had the strength to kill a two-star emperor. The one-star emperor present could not possibly deal with Long Yu. Not to mention, now that the news of their attack on the Northern Snow Empire was known by the Alliance of Five Emperors, the cabinet elders of the Alliance of Five Emperors, as well as the Five Emperors themselves, would definitely attack the 6 sects and 10 countries. It was definitely not a wise choice to attack now. However, some people could not restrain themselves. For example, a one-star emperor of the Taiwu Empire. He looked similar to Taiwu Yuan, so he must be a descendant of Taiwu Yuan. Hearing Long Yu's words, this person turned into a stream of light and charged at Long Yu at an extremely fast speed. A stone talisman appeared in this person's hand. He activated the stone talisman, and powerful earth element divine characters surged out from it. Ancient stone heaven suppression. The person shouted, and the stone talisman pressed down on Long Yu, bringing with it an extremely powerful suppressive force. He wanted to kill Long Yu with the stone talisman battle weapon. What kind of stone talisman is this? It's a mid-grade Archean battle weapon. You must have found it in some ruins. Too bad you're facing me, Long Yu. Forget an Archean battle weapon. Even an unbounded battle weapon can't do anything to me. Long Yu laughed coldly. This person in front of him was most likely a descendant of Taiwu Yuan. In that case, they shouldn't blame him for being merciless. Since they were his enemies, and they had taken the initiative to attack him, he might as well eliminate them. Divine Formation 9 Abyss. Long Yu raised his hand, and 9 pitch-black cracks immediately appeared in the void. Then, they spread out in front of him, just in time to surround the young man from the extreme Wu Empire who was attacking him. The ancient stone heaven suppression was a technique that the young man had comprehended after reaching the spirit fusion realm with a mid-grade Archean rank stone talisman battle weapon. Its suppressive force was extremely powerful, but when it encountered one of the pitch-black cracks, it was instantly destroyed, and the stone talisman battle weapon was completely sliced in half. Then, the remaining 8 rifts from the 9 Abyss Divine Formation swallowed the young man's body. In the blink of an eye, the young man's body was completely corroded, and he disappeared from the battlefield without a trace. His soul was scattered, and his body and soul were destroyed. If anyone else wants to make a move, I don't mind killing a few more. Killing intent flashed in Long Yu's eyes as he swept his gaze across the battlefield. The people from the 6 sects and 10 nations finally quieted down. They didn't dare to say a word, and they didn't even dare to move. Although Long Yu was targeting the people from the 6 sects and 10 nations, with just one glance, even the cabinet elders from the Alliance of Five Emperors who had just scolded Long Yu kept quiet out of fear and didn't dare to say a word. In the Alliance of Five Emperors, the cabinet elders looked at the 5 emperors, hoping that the 5 emperors could control the situation. 5 emperors, you don't have to say anything more. To tell you the truth, the realm of 9 serenities is no longer under the control of the Lushan clan, and I, Long Yu, now have the world seal of the realm of 9 serenities and have become the master of 9 serenities. Only now did Long Yu finally speak of his situation. As soon as he spoke these words, it instantly caused the hearts of everyone present to shake violently. Everyone present was an existence that had stepped into the Emperor's level, so of course they knew about the existence of the Lushan clan. Now that they heard from Long Yu that the realm of 9 serenities was out of the Lushan clan's control, didn't that mean that the entire Shenwu world was finally free? Of course, getting rid of the Lushan clan's control and falling into the hands of Long Yu is not good news for the 6 sects and 10 nations. It could even be said to be despairing news. Why didn't you say so earlier? One of the elders from the 6 sects and 10 nations muttered to himself displeased with Long Yu's actions. After all, if Long Yu had said so earlier, why would anyone have rushed to attack Long Yu? The two one-star emperors from the 6 sects and 10 nations had died in vain. Long Yu glanced at this person, but didn't say anything to him. Instead, he continued speaking to the 5 emperors. Senior 5 emperors, from now on, the realm of 9 serenities will be left to wander in the beyond heaven world. I will leave Shenwu world and protect the realm of 9 serenities in beyond heaven. As for the realm of 9 serenities and Shenwu world, I will leave it to you 5. Of course, the alliance of 5 emperors will be abolished, and the sacred tower will no longer exist. The reason for abolishing the alliance of 5 emperors was very simple. Long Yu didn't want anything related to the Lushan clan to remain in Shenwu world. When he had the ability, he would naturally want to abolish the forces left behind by his enemies. As for destroying the sacred tower, there was also a reason. Inside the sacred tower, there was a teleportation portal to the divine martial realm's core and 9 serenities palace. Although it had just been used not long ago and probably didn't have much energy left, if someone went to the divine martial realm's core and 9 serenities palace, it might cause trouble for Long Yu. Especially since the realm of 9 serenities was still relatively stable, he didn't want to leave behind any unstable factors. If what you said is true, Long Yu, then we can do as you say. However, if the alliance of 5 emperors is abolished, what kind of system do you want to establish? The leader of the 5 emperors, the Saint Emperor, stood out with a veil covering her face. Her eyes were filled with light as she walked in front of Long Yu. A fragrant scent wafted into his nose. She then asked Long Yu a question. Also, why destroy the sacred tower? In the sacred tower, there's the illusion world of the 5 emperors and many astral spirit formations. To us, they are all very important cultivation methods. In terms of cultivation, everyone can be at ease. I already have a plan, but before I carry it out, the sacred tower must be destroyed. Senior Saint Emperor, can you trust me? Long Yu asked the Saint Emperor with a smile. The Saint Emperor's eyes lit up as she stared at Long Yu. After a while, she chuckled lightly. Then we'll do as you say. However, something like destroying the sacred tower is not something I can do. It's fine, just leave it to me. Long Yu said with a wave of his hand. Since the Saint Emperor had agreed, the others naturally didn't have any objections. Instead, the Demon Emperor laughed heartily. I didn't expect little brother Long Yu to have such achievements. This is truly worthy of celebration. However, the world beyond is an even more dangerous and cruel place. Little brother Long Yu, you must be careful when traveling outside. That's right. Since you're the lord of the realm of 9 serenities, if you were to fall in the world beyond, our entire Shenwu world would be destroyed. The Thunder Emperor said with a smile. For the 5 emperors, they were already mentally prepared for the change in the realm of 9 serenities. So when Long Yu said it and displayed his unimaginable strength, they accepted it rather quickly. However, at this moment, the people from the 6 sects and 10 nations, as well as the cabinet elders from the 5 emperors alliance, were all dumbfounded. They did not even know what to say. Long Yu had become the lord of the realm of 9 serenities? What this meant was self-evident. The entire Shenwu world was equivalent to Long Yu's own small world, which means no matter how strong an existence was, as long as they were in the realm of 9 serenities, they wouldn't be a match for Long Yu. No wonder Long Yu was able to kill a 1-star emperor in one strike. The current Long Yu, even if he were to face the 7-star emperor, he would still be able to kill him in one strike. Although these people haven't reached the same level of cultivation, they still have a rough estimate of the 7-star emperor's level. They can roughly estimate that Long Yu's current strength in Shenwu world far exceeds the 7-star emperor's, perhaps even reaching the level of a ruler's secret realm cultivator. Such a powerful Long Yu, if he wanted to rule the entire Shenwu world, no one else had anything to say. So what does everyone think? Long Yu smiled, then looked around. Regardless of whether or not anyone has any objections, this alliance of 5 emperors will definitely be abolished, and the sacred tower will definitely be destroyed by me. Believe me, after the alliance of 5 emperors is abolished, There will only be benefits for everyone here. There will be no downsides. Long Yu, what are you trying to hide? Why don't you just tell us now? Flame Emperor couldn't help but ask. This Flame Emperor has always had a fiery personality, so he couldn't resist Long Yu's provocation. It's very simple. I will build a 9 Serenities heaven stairway in the sky above the 5 Emperors' holy city, which is also the original location of the Sacred Tower. The 9 Serenities heaven stairway will become the holy land for all cultivators in Shunwu world from now on. Long Yu didn't hide anything and directly told them about the 9 Serenities heaven stairway. After all, it won't take long for this to spread across the entire Shunwu world, so telling everyone here now isn't a big deal. After explaining about the 9 Serenities heaven stairway and the parallel barrier, Long Yu glanced at the cultivators of the 6 sects and 10 countries and casually said, because the 6 sects and 10 countries joined forces to attack the Northern Snow Empire, anyone from the 6 sects and 10 countries will be automatically demoted by 1 level when they step onto the 9 Serenities heaven stairway. For example, if a cultivator from the 6 sects and 10 countries passes through the 7th level of the parallel barrier and obtains the 7th level 9 Serenities heaven stairway token, then he will only be able to step onto the 6th level of the 9 Serenities heaven stairway, and so on. As soon as he said that, the faces of the 6 sects and 10 countries turned ashen. Chapter 1058. After explaining the situation to the 5 emperors gave the order for everyone to leave the sanctum. If they didn't do that, Long Yu would still be able to destroy the sanctum, but the talented martial cultivators inside the sanctum would definitely lose their lives. If Long Yu wants to manage the entire Shunwu world, he needs a lot of talented people. After everyone left the sanctum, Long Yu found out that there were actually so many talented martial cultivators inside the sanctum. Quite a few martial cultivators who had been cultivating inside the Star Spirit formation for many years couldn't help but come out this time. Most of the geniuses of Shunwu world were gathered here. Several 100,000 people came out of the sanctum. At first, they didn't know what was going on, but because of the strict requirements of the 5 emperors, they forced themselves out of their closed-door cultivation. After coming out, they were naturally very dissatisfied. After all, some of them had reached a crucial point in their martial cultivation. Perhaps they could break through, but now that they were forcefully interrupted, they were naturally displeased. But very quickly, from the rumors, everyone found out about Long Yu's existence. They found out that Long Yu had become the Lord of 9 Serenities, that he was going to abolish the alliance of 5 emperors, destroy the sanctum, and build a new holy land for cultivation. 9 Serenities heaven stairs. Quite a few people were surprised by the effects of the 9 Serenities heaven stairs. But while they were surprised, they were also a bit doubtful. Can this 9 Serenities heaven stairs really have the effect of increasing a martial cultivator's cultivation speed by at least 200 times? The alliance of 5 emperors being abolished and the sanctum being destroyed, this news spread like wildfire throughout the 5 emperors' holy city. The entire 5 emperors' holy city, several 100,000 people all raised their heads and looked towards the sanctum. That sanctum that reached the heavens. Could someone really destroy it? Everyone in Shunwu world from birth until now had lived under the rule of the alliance of 5 emperors. Now that someone told them that the alliance of 5 emperors had been abolished, they couldn't help but be stunned on the spot. When everyone heard this news, their first reaction was, "Is this a joke?" But soon, reality told them that this was not a joke because the hundreds of thousands of people in the sanctum were all chased out of the sanctum. Very soon, Long Yu was the only one left in the vicinity of the sanctum. Countless people had grave expressions on their faces as they stared at Long Yu, who was flying near the sacred tower. This was because what Long Yu was about to do would destroy their entire worldview. The sacred tower was created by a mysterious force. It has stood tall in Shunwu world for over 10,000 years. Does this Long Yu really have the ability to destroy the sacred tower? From what I can see, even if he really can destroy the sacred tower, it won't be something that can be done in a day. After all, the sacred tower has been reinforced by the divine rune crystals, making it extremely sturdy. Even a peak Emperor Realm cultivator wouldn't be able to leave a single mark on it. I think so too, but if the 9 Nether Heaven Stairs is truly completed, I'm actually looking forward to it. I've never had the chance to enter the illusion realm of the 5 Emperors before, but now, this Long Yu is saying that he will create 100 parallel barriers, similar to the illusion realm of the 5 Emperors. That's right, I'm also looking forward to the parallel barriers. I want to know how many floors I can reach in the parallel barrier. If I can reach the 50th floor, then I'll be qualified to enter the 50th floor of the 9 Nether Heaven Stairs. My cultivation speed will increase by 10,000 times. Countless people were discussing the parallel barriers and the 9 Nether Heaven Stairs. While they were doubtful, they were also looking forward to it, hoping that what Long Yu said was true. In fact, the reason why they were so obedient was not because of Long Yu, but because of the 5 Emperors. If the 5 Emperors said so, they would only believe it. If it was Long Yu who said it himself, before the sacred tower was destroyed and the 9 Nether Heaven Stairs was built, no one would believe it. Long Yu flew near the sacred tower, feeling the continuous flow of martial cultivators flying out of the sacred tower. Roughly 6 hours later, there was no one left in the sacred tower. Of course, he heard the people around him talking about how long it would take for him to destroy the sacred tower, and this made the corner of Long Yu's mouth curl up. Destroying the sacred tower only takes an instant. Long Yu raised his hand, and 1,000-fold world energy poured into his body, making him feel as though he had fallen into a whirlpool of energy. Boundless world energy allowed Long Yu to display strength equivalent to a sovereign secret realm expert. In fact, he was even stronger than the average sovereign secret realm expert. 9 Nether Dragon Breath Destroy. Long Yu spat out a mouthful of 9 Nether Dragon Breath, condensing the boundless power of the 9 Nether Divine Runes and the world energy of the 9 Netherworld, and blasted it towards the sacred tower. Under the gazes of countless people, just this one attack had directly destroyed the entire sacred tower. The sacred tower that was originally devouring heaven had actually been broken into 2 pieces and collapsed. Fallen Dark Star. Long Yu raised his hand, quickly condensing fallen dark stars one after another, flying towards the collapsed sacred tower and directly exploding when they got close to it. Countless fallen dark stars continued to explode. The explosive power that contained the power of the world directly blew the 2 halves of the sacred tower to pieces. The continuous explosions entered the eyes of everyone present, causing everyone to reveal a look of shock, including the 5 Emperors. They did not expect Long Yu to use such a violent method to destroy the sacred tower. Originally, the 5 Emperors thought that Long Yu would destroy the sacred tower layer by layer, but they did not expect Long Yu's method to be so violent. In less than the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the originally towering sacred tower completely disappeared under the sound of explosions, and dust billowed, leaving only a trace of what once was at the foundation. The rest of the sacred tower was completely destroyed by Long Yu's explosions, and not even a trace was left. So fast. Everyone present was shocked. There were even some people who were gone for a short while. When they turned around to look, they saw that the heavenly sacred tower had completely disappeared. The center of the sacred city of 5 Emperors had become extremely spacious. Even the 5 Emperors were shocked by Long Yu's destructive power. One had to know that the 5 Emperors had naturally tried to attack the sacred tower in private, but even the 5 Emperors had no way to leave the slightest trace of damage on the sacred tower. Now, Long Yu easily destroyed the entire sacred tower. It could be seen that the current Long Yu had indeed become the Lord of 9 Serenities, and in the realm of 9 Serenities, he had unsurpassable power. However, that wasn't the only thing that shocked everyone. Northern Snow Empire come, Long Yu shouted softly, and a wave of space divine text that was supported by the world energy condensed in the sky above the holy city of the 5 Emperors and actually formed a giant space passage. In front of everyone's eyes, a country appeared from the space passage. It was the entire territory of the Northern Snow Empire, and was transported to the sky above the holy city of the five emperors. The entire territory of the Northern Snow Empire was larger than the holy city of the five emperors, but because it was very high up in the clouds, it did not affect the holy city of the five emperors. The entire Northern Snow Empire was transported to the sky above the holy city of the five emperors by Long Yu, and would become the place closest to the Nine Serenities Heaven Stairway. After transporting the Northern Snow Empire here, Long Yu began to build the Nine Serenities Heaven Stairway. Although he didn't have the power of creation and couldn't create anything out of thin air, he could use the world energy to move the soil and rocks of the entire Shenwu world, or even the entire Nine Serenities realm, and condense it into a building. A building that was even simpler than the Sacred Tower was being built at a speed visible to the naked eye in front of everyone's eyes. It was a flight of stairs. Each flight of stairs was tens of thousands of feet tall, and there were a total of 100 flights of stairs, reaching straight into the clouds, even reaching the edge of Shenwu World, and not too far away from the Sea of Death aura at the very top of Shenwu World. On top of each flight of stairs, there was a space passage protected by a formation, and through that space passage, one could be transported to a place with extremely abundant spirit energy. While Long Yu was building the Nine Serenities Heaven Stairway, he was also constructing the formation to condense spirit energy within the space of the Nine Serenities Heaven Stairway. About an hour later, the Nine Serenities Heaven Stairway was completely finished. On each flight of the Nine Serenities Heaven Stairway, there was a formation to condense spirit energy, and the higher the flight, the stronger the formation's effect. The lowest first flight was the largest, able to accommodate billions of people to cultivate at the same time, and the spirit energy here was 200 times thicker than the outside world. The second flight was 400 times thicker, but the number of people it could accommodate was also a lot smaller. The third flight, where the spirit energy was 600 times thicker, the number of people it could accommodate was also reduced. Up to the 100th flight at the very top, where the spirit energy was 20,000 times thicker, it could only accommodate 10 people at the same time. If there were too many people, it wasn't that they couldn't enter, but the amount of spirit energy that was evenly distributed to everyone would decrease, and their cultivation speed would also decrease. Next up is to build parallel barriers. After Long Yu finished building the Nine Serenities Heaven Stairway, the next step was to build 100 parallel barriers all over Shenwu World, which would be used to test the qualifications to enter the Nine Serenities Heaven Stairway, as well as to help all martial cultivators in Shenwu World improve their martial skills even faster. Everyone had a chance to step into the parallel spirit formation once a month. These parallel spirit formations had a total of over 10,000 parallel spaces. When a martial cultivator executed a martial skill once, it would be like they had executed it 10,000 times. This greatly increased the cultivation speed of the martial skill. Building the parallel barriers didn't take too much of Long Yu's time either. One day later, the Nine Serenities Heaven Stairway and the 100 parallel barriers appeared out of thin air above Shenwu World. But the next step was a bit more difficult, which was to choose a guardian for each of the parallel barriers and the Nine Serenities Heaven Stairway. It was because of this that Long Yu had spared the lives of the other 6 sects and 10 countries' cultivators. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.